Chapter 34:15. Tan Xiu's punch was a self-created combat skill. It was his proudest technique. He combined the fist intent he comprehended with the power of thunder to form a beast and explode with the strongest power. Of course, this was also his greatest helplessness. The Thunder Tree was said to have many kinds of techniques. The Tree of Lightning even had tens of thousands of techniques. If he could obtain these things, why would he need to spend so much effort to create his own techniques? Back in the Holy Thunder Territory, Tan Xiu's name was very powerful, but now he was still in the realm of a 3-star. It was not that his talent was not good enough, but that he had spent too much time comprehending the combat skill. The lion head formed by Tan Xiu's countless fist intents and thunder was very terrifying. Its roar shook the sky. Zi Chen's robe began to shake, and a strong sense of danger rose in his heart. He took a step forward and began to mobilize all the power in his body. The thunder energy that was once a fusion of yin and yang was fully mobilized by Zi Chen. At this moment, he did not dare to be careless. Buzz! The demon bone began to tremble, releasing a strong light. This light was mixed with bits of thunder. Under the stimulation of the demon bone, Zi Chen unsheathed his saber. The combined 7-demon saber lit up with countless thunder and lightning as it slashed forward. Whoosh! There was no big collision. After the energy met, it blended and disappeared. The saber light dissipated, and the lion head disappeared. A strong vibration wave spread out, shaking the two of them and sending them flying backward. As they flew backward, Zi Chen and Tan Xiu coughed up blood one after another. Tan Xiu's eyes widened, full of disbelief. He could not believe that the thunder technique that he had spent countless years to comprehend, which even affected his cultivation, was actually broken by a 2-star Holy Spirit. Zi Chen was similarly shocked. He had the 7-demon saber and the 7-demon bone in his hands. In addition to his own fused lightning power, such a combination could even injure a 4-star opponent, let alone a 3-star opponent. However, his full-powered slash only managed to destroy one of the lion heads. Zi Chen's body flew backward, and his eyes were full of unwillingness. Killing intent surged in his eyes. The Holy Spirit flying saber appeared beside him, turned into a thunderbolt, and went straight to Tan Xiu. At this moment, the space shook again. The energy hand that was supposed to appear a moment later actually appeared again. In the previous battle, he had consumed a lot of energy. Now that the giant hand was descending again, he took back the Holy Spirit flying daggers and let them circle around him. As expected, the speed of the energy hand's descent was even faster, and it had already reached the Holy Spirit flying dagger by the time it returned to its side. In Zi Chen's eyes, the Eye of Destruction appeared, affecting the trajectory of the giant hand. However, it was unknown whether it was because the consumption was too great, but the effect was far less than before. Then, the Holy Spirit flying knife flew forward, causing flaws to appear in the completely sealed surroundings. His figure flashed as he fled from this place. After dodging the giant hand, Zi Chen cried out inwardly, "That was close!" At the same time, he looked in another direction. There! A talisman had appeared in front of Tan Xiu. A giant escape character flew out from the talisman, and in the next moment the talisman shone brightly, covering his body. "I won't let you off." When Tan Xiu's body disappeared, his voice, filled with cold, killing intent, resounded in the void. Zi Chen's eyes changed. It was not because of the threat of his opponent's escape, but because he saw the talisman that the opponent used. He also happened to have one on him. The opponent was able to escape smoothly under the blockade of the giant hand. Did that mean that he had another life-saving means? Who was that little girl? Why did she come to Julin's treasury to steal such a life-saving talisman? With these doubts in mind, Zi Chen quickly left. However, he did not immediately enter another planet. Instead, he swallowed an elixir and began to recover. This place was full of danger. Qin did not dare to stay in one place for too long. Often, he would change places every 15 minutes. Even so, the timing of the giant hand's appearance was much faster than before. Qin was helpless. On one hand, he needed to recover, and on the other, he had to be wary of the giant hand. Being in this void, Qin was already under a lot of pressure, so he felt very uncomfortable in this place. In fact, Qin's situation was much better than other people's. This was because many people who came here only to die. Just as he was about to recover, a chilling killing intent appeared in the void once again. It was Tan Xiu. Obviously, he had come again after recovering. After meeting, the two of them did not say anything and began to fight. When both sides had consumed a lot of energy, Tan Xiu decisively retreated from the nearby planet. Qin still stayed here, not daring to kill the enemy. This was because, at this moment, some people appeared on the planet where Tan Xiu disappeared. These people stood in the sky above the world. After glancing at him, they re-entered the world. If Qin, who had consumed a lot of energy, rashly chased after them, he would inevitably be surrounded by countless experts. Next, Qin walked towards another Qin world. However, before he reached there, he saw some flickering figures. Boom! The void shook, and the giant hand appeared again. Tan Xiu returned to the planet and began to recover. Originally, he did not care about Qin, but after the two battles, he became incomparably serious. How is it? Zhu Kuei came to Tan Xiu's side and looked at him healing. Tan Xiu opened his eyes and said, "He's very strong. I might not be his match if we fight at the same level." Zhu Kuei's eyes revealed a hint of surprise. "Are you sure?" He was very clear about Tan Xiu's combat strength. Even if he fought with those core disciples, he would definitely have the upper hand. Speaking of which, if it was not for the fact that he did not have a backer in the Thunder Clan, or that there was someone who spoke up for him, he would have become a core disciple long ago. Tan Xiu said, "He's not an ordinary core disciple. He does have some combat strength. If I fight with him at the same level, it will be difficult. However, I'm still confident that I can kill him." Zhu Kuei's eyes lit up and said, "As long as you can kill him, the favor you ask for this time might allow you to return to the Thunder Clan." Tan Xiu shook his head and said, "No, after killing him, I will refine his soul and obtain his Thunder Clan's combat skills. I don't need to return to the Thunder Clan at all." Zhu Kuei looked at the confident Tan Xiu and asked, "What's your plan?" Tan Xiu said in a deep voice, "I'll use him to train first. When I break through to 4-star, it will be his death." Qin had recovered his energy. After trying to descend to the 2 Qin worlds and failing, Qin simply gave up. He stayed in this void and began to improve his strength. Not long after, Qin found that the Holy Thunder Body Tempering Arts effect was exceptionally good in this place. It seemed that the pressure from the void had increased the speed of his physical body's strengthening. Tan Xiu came again. After the third battle, Tan Xiu still chose to retreat when he still had some strength left. Qin wanted to kill Tan Xiu, but he did not have the strength to do so. Next, it was the 4th, 5th, and 6th time. He did not know if it was an illusion, but as the number of battles increased, Qin felt that Tan Xiu's combat strength was also increasing. The two of them were evenly matched. Sometimes, Tan Xiu would even suppress him. Could it be that he wants to borrow my strength to break through to 4-star? After another battle, Qin had such a guess in his heart. He obviously did not want to become Tan Xiu's training stone, so he fled again. However, every time he wanted to reach a planet, someone would appear on that planet. Although the figure flashed and disappeared, Qin could still clearly feel the aura of the Holy Spirit. He did not know what was happening and decided to go and take a look. Chapter 34:16. A planet with no life force meant that it was in ruins. Under such circumstances, there would usually not be many people on a ruined planet. There might not even be a single living creature. Zichen arrived at a planet that seemed to be in ruins from the outside. However, what entered his eyes were dozens of sacred spirits. They seemed to have guessed that Zichen would come. Cold-killing intent flashed in their eyes. They were very excited. That guy has finally appeared. Kill him, and the top-notch cultivation technique and lightning skill will be ours. Kill. Battle cries rang out everywhere as powerful attacks appeared one after another, illuminating this ruined world as they headed straight for Zichen. Fist lights, sword, chi, sacred weapons, all kinds of attacks were endless. Zichen could vaguely guess what was going on from their shouts, and his expression immediately turned ugly. Anger appeared in his eyes as he took a step forward. Buzz! The fused lightning power lingered around his body, blocking the attacks from all directions. Zichen used the 9 sacred thunder to dodge some of the powerful attacks that he could not block. I recognize that extreme speed. It's the sacred thunder flash. As long as you get the sacred thunder flash, even if you're not from the lightning clan, you'll still have extraordinary speed. You'll be invincible in battle. Idiot, that's not the sacred thunder flash. It's the 9 sacred thunder flashes. Once you get it, you'll be the top speed in the Saint Spirit realm. After seeing Zichen use his extreme speed, the surrounding exclamations became louder. Many people had greed in their eyes. A ripple appeared under Zichen's feet. A powerful wave formed within the ripple. Some of the sacred spirits nearby were sent flying by this wave. In the next moment, a bolt of lightning flew forward. Poof! 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 A light flew past quickly and swept past the bodies of the sacred spirits. Their bodies flew backward and landed in the distance under the influence of inertia. As for their expressions, they were all frozen and their auras disappeared. Zichen flew forward, and with a wave of his sleeve, he collected the Holy Spirit corpses that were falling down. In the next moment, Zichen used the 9 sacred thunder flash and began to retreat. Don't let him escape. Some experts roared. More powerful attacks descended from the sky. Those experts who had been hiding in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to attack, all revealed themselves. Zichen used the 9 flashes of holy lightning to dodge the attacks. At the same time, he ran away from the planet. This time, he finally understood why so many people were targeting him. A fist radiance exploded in front of Zichen. However, Zichen did not dodge. Instead, he rushed into the explosion of energy. When he flew out of the violent energy, the power of thunder surrounding him had weakened a lot. It was the attack of a 3-star Holy Spirit. Immediately after, a sword ray appeared in front of him. Zichen immediately unsheathed his saber and destroyed the sword ray. His speed didn't decrease in the slightest, avoiding many attacks. However, there were too many of them, the number of experts too few. An attack landed behind him, completely dispersing his protective lightning. After that, several attacks landed on his body. Zichen activated the sacred thunder body tempering technique to resist these attacks. After spitting out several mouthfuls of blood, he finally managed to escape into the void. Many people stood at the edge of the planet, looking at Zichen, who was gradually disappearing. Their eyes were filled with reluctance. To them, the void was equivalent to a forbidden area. After missing an opportunity, those holy spirits who had been hiding in the dark and didn't make a move at the first possible moment were all vexed. They had concealed their auras before, thinking that they would surround Zichen when he went deeper into the void. When that time came, he would not be able to escape even if he had wings. However, Zichen did not go deeper. Moreover, it was a little too powerful. In an instant, close to 10 holy spirits were killed. First, it was the 9 flashes of holy lightning. Then, it was the sacred thunder saber manipulation technique. Both are top techniques of the sacred thunder clan. An old man looked at Zichen's fleeing figure and said in a deep voice, He was attacked several times before, but he only spat out blood and suffered minor injuries. It seems that he has mastered some kind of powerful physical technique. A 3-star Holy Spirit next to him said, "In that case, once we catch him and get what he has, we'll be rich." The old man said, "It's not just rich. The future will be smooth. The resources we can exchange for will be enough for us to grow by 1 or 2 levels of Xingqian." The top techniques of the Sacred Thunder clan were ranked very high in the Saint Spirit realm. Usually, once a fragment of a technique was found, it would cause a scramble. Once a complete technique was found, it would definitely cause a huge sensation. Many people's eyes were burning with desire. However, Zichen was not weak, and he was not afraid of the void, which was comparable to a forbidden area. How difficult would it be to catch him? After Zichen returned to the void, he quickly fled, not even caring about his injuries. He knew very well that Tan Xiu would be coming soon. Tan Xiu would definitely not miss this opportunity. He deliberately flew to the depths of the void. The distance between the planets there was relatively far. Even if Tan Xiu teleported to a nearby planet, Zichen would be able to discover him immediately. The giant hand of energy descended from the sky. Zichen turned around and used the Eye of Destruction to easily resolve the crisis. As time passed, Zichen became more and more familiar with the Eye of Destruction. However, as his understanding of it deepened, the consumption of energy was also increasing every time he used it. Of course, its effect and power were also increasing. In the depths of the void, Zichen took a short break and began to refine the crystals left behind by the Holy Spirits after their deaths. It had not been long since he had broken through, so it was still very difficult to break through in a short period of time. During this period, Zichen needed to constantly temper his physical body. The Sacred Thunder body tempering technique still had great potential to be discovered. Not long after, Tan Xiu came again. The two of them could not avoid a big battle. In this battle, Tan Xiu exploded with unprecedented power, which brought a lot of pressure to Zichen. Fortunately, the giant hand of energy came again, and Tan Xiu chose to flee. Blood flowed from the corner of Zichen's mouth. He was seriously injured. That guy had become stronger, and his growth rate was obviously much faster than Zichen's. Looking at the escaping opponent, Zichen's eyes flashed coldly. If this continued, the opponent might break through to the 4-star level. Once that happened, Zichen would be under even more pressure. It was impossible to reach the 3-star level in a short period of time. After thinking about it again and again, Zichen decided to give up on cultivating energy and focus on using the unique pressure here to strengthen his physical body. He already had a strong physical foundation, so this was the only feasible way to quickly increase his combat strength at the moment. After deciding to give up on cultivating, Zichen began to focus on refining the sacred crystal to strengthen his physical body. The Sacred Thunder body tempering technique was an advanced version of the Thunder body. With the unique pressure of this void, his physical body was rapidly strengthening. Tan Xiu did not come in the next few days. During this period, some people would occasionally come here, but Zichen easily suppressed them with the help of the void's abnormality, causing them to suffer heavy losses. Chapter 34:17. There was someone standing outside Tan Xiu's room. It was the 5-star Zhu Kuei. Half a month ago, after Tan Xiu returned, he had chosen to go into seclusion. The outside world was still trying to kill Zichen. Naturally, there were no results. As long as that kid did not die in the void, it would be difficult for others to kill him. During this period, some forces had sent experts to the void several times. Not only did they not cause any negative effects to Zichen, but they also suffered heavy losses. The people from the Julin forces were watching Zichen, while Zhu Kuei was waiting for Tan Xiu to come out of seclusion. Wang, a powerful aura suddenly came out of the room. Sensing this aura, Zhu Kuei's expression changed. His eyes were filled with excitement. In this star field, there were many divine spirits. For example, the Julan forces had suffered heavy losses, but it did not take long for them to recruit new divine spirits. Zhu Kuei did not care about these divine spirits. However, Tan Xiu was different. He was nurtured by Zhu Kuei, so he cared a lot about Tan Xiu. Now that Tan Xiu had made a breakthrough, his combat power had increased. He was one of the strongest in the Julan forces. The tyrannical aura wreaked havoc for a full hour before it gradually subsided. Tan Xiu opened the door and saw Zhu Kuei standing outside. "Congratulations." Zhu Kuei smiled. Tan Xiu nodded and said, "I used a lot of resources this time." Before he could finish, Zhu Kuei interrupted him. "Those resources are nothing. As long as you are willing, you can go out and hunt divine spirits." When a divine spirit died, its body would turn into Saint crystals of high quality. However, this was undoubtedly killing the goose that laid the golden eggs. Many divine spirits were happy to do this. Tan Xiu said in a deep voice, "Since I have made a breakthrough, he is useless. I will go and kill him." Zhu Kuei patted Tan Xiu's shoulder and said, "You must be careful. According to our investigation, Zichen has an extraordinary background. Don't be careless." Tan Xiu said, "If I can't kill him as a 4-star, I don't deserve to live in this world." After cultivating for more than 10 days, Zichen had refined a lot of Saint crystals. Now he stood up. On his body, the lightning continued to flash, and the golden light was resplendent. At this moment, the holy lightning body tempering technique was no longer under Zichen's control. A powerful aura surged from Zichen's body. After cultivating the sacred lightning body tempering art to a certain level, a change occurred for the first time. All the bones in his body were crackling like beans being fried. This was not a crisis, but a sublimation and improvement. His bones had become stronger, and his blood was flowing more vigorously like a surging sea. His tendons, bones, and meridians had become tougher. Countless bolts of lightning were released from his body, illuminating the void. This was pure physical strength. Zichen quietly sensed the changes in his body. At this moment, countless bolts of lightning surged out of his body and gathered in front of him, forming a lightning ball that looked like Xingqian. The ball of lightning appeared in front of Zichen and began to revolve around his body. Is this the manifestation of the saint power? Seeing this scene, Zichen's face revealed a shocked expression. At this moment, the ball of lightning was equivalent to the power of the saint spirit. However, the difference was that this was not the ordinary power of the saint spirit, but the power of the saint spirit condensed from the body. For the saint spirit, who cultivated the body, the manifestation of the saint power was the highest standard. Right now, Zichen was equivalent to a 1-star saint power realm. Probing with his spiritual senses, Zichen felt that the ball of lightning was filled with powerful physical strength. Although this strength was not as strong as the lightning fusion, it was Zichen's first step to becoming stronger. The ball of lightning formed by the saint power was revolving around his body. Wherever the ball of lightning passed, the void was distorted. Perhaps Zichen had stayed in the same place for too long. The void began to tremble, and the energy hand fell. This time it was faster. A powerful pressure appeared from the void and surrounded Zichen, suppressing his body to the point that he could not move. Usually, Zichen would use the Eye of Destruction. However, he did not use it today. The manifested ball of lightning was not affected much and continued to revolve around his body. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts exploded and dissolved the layers of pressure. Zichen disappeared. Like a bolt of lightning, Zichen was hundreds of feet away. He turned around and looked to the side. The energy hand had missed and was gradually dissipating. Is this the Saint Thunder Body refining technique? It's really powerful. Zichen's face was filled with surprise. If that guy dares to come again, I believe that this time he won't be able to return. Just as this thought appeared in Zi-Chen's mind, a tyrannical aura appeared on the nearby planet. Along with the appearance of this aura was an infinite murderous intent. The joy that had just appeared on Zi-Chen's face dissipated in an instant. 4-star Saint Spirit. The other party had not come for a long time. He did not expect him to have broken through. He was 2 levels higher than himself. This made Zi-Chen, who had just manifested his saint power, feel the pressure again. Die. Tan Xiu's voice was cold. Like a bolt of lightning, he flew straight at Zi-Chen. Buzz! The Saint Spirit flying dagger moved forward at an even faster speed. A bolt of lightning lit up on Tan Xiu's body, stopping the Saint Spirit flying dagger. It was not that the Saint Spirit flying dagger was not strong, but that the difference in their levels was too great. The light on the Saint Spirit flying dagger gradually dimmed and quickly flew back, disappearing beside Zi-Chen. Boom! The void shook violently. Tan Xiu punched, and countless bolts of lightning emerged from his body. The aura of a 4-star Saint Spirit swept out like a wave. This was not a battle skill. It was just an aura suppression and level suppression. It was enough to see Tan Xiu's confidence. Facing this pressure, Zi-Chen did not dare to be careless. He stepped forward and golden light burst out. He held the scabbard in his left hand and the hilt in his right. He merged with the demon bone to stimulate the power. Zi-Chen's eyes were cold. He unsheathed the blade and used his power. Buzz! The void trembled slightly. A blade light moved forward, drawing an arc. The fist light shattered, and the powerful shock wave spread out. Zi-Chen's body flew backward. This is the difference between us. Looking at Zi-Chen flying backward, a disdainful smile appeared at the corner of Tan Xiu's mouth. This was just his ordinary attack, but his opponent wanted to fight with his power. He stretched out his hand and gently pressed in the void. The void was distorted. A palm print fell from the sky, like a giant hand of lightning that blotted out the sky and slapped toward Zi-Chen. Zi-Chen shouted and rushed into the sky. He unsheathed the demonic blade again. Countless bolts of lightning were activated, illuminating the void around him. The light reflected on Zi-Chen's face, making him look even more indifferent. The lightning dissipated, and a thunderbolt cut extended into the depths of the void. Zi-Chen stood in the void and stared coldly at Tan Xiu. Killing intent flashed in his eyes. Interesting, but you'd better die. Tan Xiu clenched his fist and punched again. Countless fist wills appeared and merged with countless bolts of lightning. They gathered in front of him and formed a lion's head. Chapter 34:18. The ferocious lion's roar shook the sky. It was just a lion's head, but it was releasing an overbearing aura. Although I haven't fully condensed my true form, it's enough to kill you. Tan Xiu was full of confidence. The lion's head moved forward, and the lion's roar resounded through the void. Countless ripples spread in all directions. Zi-Chen took a deep breath and activated the strongest power in his body. The ball of lightning that he had condensed earlier had already appeared outside his body. At this moment, he could only choose to believe in the demonic saber as he felt a life-and-death crisis. The golden thunderbolt power gathered toward the demonic saber, and the power of the 7 demon bones was activated to the limit. At the same time, the thunderball of sacred power that appeared outside the saber also entered the saber through the hilt. Draw the saber. Buzz. The demonic saber, which was mixed with gold and silver light, was completely filled with 2-colored thunderbolts. After being unsheathed, it went straight for the lion's head. A dazzling arc appeared between heaven and earth and landed on the lion's head. With a loud bang, the gold and silver saber light shattered. Zi-Chen was sent flying. A line of blood streaked across the sky. Looking at the line of blood, Tan Xiu frowned. He's not dead. He, a 4-star, had used his strongest attack, but he still couldn't kill a mere 2-star? At this moment, large energy hands descended from the sky. There were 2 of them. One went to grab Tan Xiu, and the other chased after Ziqin. He should be dead this time, right? Tan Xiu thought to himself. He then used a powerful force to avoid the large energy hand. Tan Xiu himself was an extraordinary existence to be able to move freely in this void. After avoiding the large energy hand, Tan Xiu looked ahead. He saw lightning flashing there, and Ziqin appeared from another direction. He's not dead yet. A look of surprise appeared on Tan Xiu's face. Then he charged forward again and used his most powerful attack. Obviously, he wouldn't stop until he killed Ziqin. Ziqin was glad. If it wasn't for the manifestation of sacred power, he would be under great pressure against the 4-star Tan Xiu, and he might even die. Moreover, the manifestation of sacred power not only made Ziqin stronger, but it also made his body tougher. The energy roared. Ziqin was sent flying, but he was only injured. I don't believe it. Tan Xiu roared furiously, and his most powerful self-created fists appeared again and again. The lion's roar shook the void. Ziqin coughed up blood again and again. His injuries piled up and became more and more serious. Ziqin's powerful physical body gave him an extraordinary life force. After a series of battles, Ziqin's breathing gradually became ragged, and his consumption of energy also increased. The 4-star Tan Xiu was the same. After the final collision, Ziqin coughed up blood again as his body crashed into the depths of the void. Tan Xiu glanced at Ziqin, who had steadied himself again, and decided not to stay any longer. This time he still couldn't kill his opponent, which made him feel very regretful and even humiliated. For a moment, he even felt that it was right that he wasn't chosen as a core disciple back then. But as soon as this thought appeared in his mind, he discarded it. If he couldn't become a core disciple of the Thunder Clan, then what qualifications did those fellows who lost to him have to become core disciples? Just because he had a secret treasure from his family? Tan Xiu's heart was filled with uncontrollable anger. If it weren't for those secret treasures, how could he have lost in the end? Tan Xiu's anger didn't linger for long before it disappeared. When he returned to his residence, Tan Xiu saw Zhu Kuei. Zhu Kuei seemed to have been standing here all this time and had never left. You didn't succeed? Zhu Kuei looked at Tan Xiu and asked calmly. Tan Xiu shook his head and said no. The anger in his heart had gradually disappeared, and all the negative emotions in his mind had been thrown away. Zhu Kuei smiled and said, It seems that you already know where the problem lies. Tan Xiu nodded. My self-created technique isn't weaker than the Thunder Clan's battle technique, but it's still a little lacking. As long as I can condense a real lion body, killing him won't be difficult. Zhu Kuei reached out and patted Tan Xiu's shoulder. You have always been the strongest. This is also the reason why I brought you back. A mere Ziqin is nothing. As long as you believe in yourself, killing him will be a very easy task. Zhu Kuei turned and left, leaving Tan Xiu alone in a daze. After Tan Xiu left, Ziqin began to heal his injuries. Being in this space, he didn't dare to let his guard down. His mind was in a tense state at all times. During this period, he had consumed a lot of Saint crystals, and the supply of resources was gradually becoming scarce. He was still being watched by others, which made Ziqin decide to go and fight again. However, after thinking about it again and again, he gave up on this idea. Tan Xiu was really not weak. He could be considered a strong opponent Ziqin had encountered in this world. He definitely couldn't be underestimated. In addition, Tan Xiu didn't care about morality and forcefully suppressed him with a cultivation level 2 stars higher. He decided to use all the limited resources on the sacred thunder body tempering technique. After he recovered from his injuries, he continued to cultivate the sacred thunder body tempering technique. 3 days later, Tan Xiu arrived and the two of them fought. In this battle, Zichen was still suppressed and was seriously injured. After Tan Xiu consumed a certain amount of energy, he left. Zichen began to heal his injuries. His pills and resources were greatly consumed. Tan Xiu only consumed a lot of energy and wasn't injured. However, he didn't recover quickly. After the third battle, Zichen understood his opponent's intention. Tan Xiu was honing his skills through battle. After guessing his opponent's intention, Zichen's face turned a little ugly. Was he using him as a whetstone? After devoting himself to the sacred thunder body tempering technique, Zichen's physical improvement became more obvious. The second thunderball was about to condense. This was also why Zichen could always hold on when fighting Tan Xiu, who was getting stronger and stronger. Buzz. Another half a month later, the second thunderball appeared outside Zichen's body. 2-star Saint Force realm. It was equivalent to Zichen's current 2-star Saint Force realm. The reason why his physical body could advance in such a short time was because he had a good foundation. Under the correct guidance of the cultivation method, he had reached a normal level. However, if he wanted to continue to break through, it would be difficult. However, looking at the 2 thunderballs, Zichen's confidence increased a lot. This time, it's my turn to kill you. Looking at the 2 thunderballs, Zichen's eyes were filled with confidence. I've always been so passive. Now it's time to take the initiative. Zichen's gaze looked around. There were many planets there. Zichen spread out his spiritual sense in all directions and landed on one of the lifeless planets. Zichen decided to go there. That was the battlefield he chose. The 2 thunderballs disappeared from beside him. Zichen flew toward the planet. On the planet, a figure flashed and disappeared. Zichen smiled coldly. He didn't care at all. This time he took the initiative to fight because he had exhausted all his resources and urgently needed new saint crystals to replenish them. In a flash, Zichen entered the ruined planet. Releasing his spiritual sense, he found more than a dozen saint spirits. Chapter 34:19. News of the Thunder Clan's top techniques had already spread in this star field. Many people were paying attention to Zichen. However, Zichen had been hiding in the void, and no one could do anything about it. Now the opportunity had come. Zichen was expressionless as he looked at the holy spirits who were quickly approaching him and those who were moving stealthily in the dark. This time he was going to do something big, not to make an example out of them, but to get more resources. This void was very suitable for his cultivation, but it also consumed a lot of resources. Zichen, you finally showed up. A 2-star Holy Spirit said in a cold voice. Zichen looked at him and nodded. Yes, thank you. The 2-star Saint Spirit's face was filled with shock. What did he mean by thank you? Was he scared out of his wits by so many Holy Spirits? The next moment his expression froze. The Holy Spirit flying dagger went through his mind, leaving a trail of blood. Zichen walked forward and took the Holy Spirit's body. The other Holy Spirits around him were shocked and retreated. It's the Thunderblade manipulation. It's a powerful technique of the Holy Thunder Clan. Retreat quickly. Some Holy Spirits exclaimed and retreated. Zichen stepped forward and said with a smile, Everyone, since you're already here, don't leave. The Holy Spirit flying dagger turned into a flash of lightning and disappeared in front of him. At the same time, Zichen cupped his fists at the retreating Holy Spirits and said sincerely, Zichen will remember this kindness. Thank you for your generous help. Many people were so angry that they wanted to curse. Buzz. The Holy Spirit flying dagger flew around, and the Holy Spirits' heads were pierced one after another. This was not the Thunderblade manipulation, but the Holy Thunderblade manipulation. The Holy Spirits died one after another. Zichen did not care whether they were dead or not, as long as these resources were real. Swoosh! Zi Chen's cupped fists suddenly disappeared. A flash of sword light slashed across his body. The three-star Holy Spirit, who came out of stealth, looked at the disappearing figure and was slightly stunned. Here! Zi Chen's voice came from behind him. The three-star Holy Spirit's face changed. When he turned around, the Holy Spirit light on his body erupted, and he slashed out with his long sword. The sword light swept forward, and Zi Chen's figure was split into two. It was still an afterimage. So fast! The three-star Holy Spirit's mind trembled. Suddenly, he felt all the energy in his body slipping away. Just as he lowered his head, he realized that there was a bloody mark on his body. This is... Before he could react, a surge of energy entered his sea of consciousness and annihilated his soul. After killing a three-star Holy Spirit with a single slash, Zi Chen swiftly arrived in front of the second three-star Holy Spirit and punched out. With a loud bang, the three-star Holy Spirit was sent flying. His face was filled with shock as he quickly formed a seal with his hands. The saint spirit energy in his body gathered in front of him, forming a square light seal. His reaction is fast, but it's a pity he's too slow. Zi Chen's voice came from beside him. Then, a flash of saber light swept past his opponent's body. The square-shaped light seal disappeared from the world once again. After taking away the three-star Holy Spirit's body, Zi Chen looked around. As far as the eye could see, there were more than a dozen Holy Spirit corpses. The rest of the Holy Spirits were fleeing. These Holy Spirits were either one-star or two-star Holy Spirits. They thought that they might be able to take advantage of the situation. Who knew that they would be slaughtered? Since you're here, don't leave. Zi Chen's spiritual senses immediately extended and shrouded this ruined planet. The next moment, the Holy Spirit flying dagger began to fly in this world according to Zi Chen's guidance. This was the real killing of enemies thousands of miles away. Before a two-star Holy Spirit who was about to escape this world could reach the void, the Holy Spirit flying dagger reached him in a flash and disappeared into a sea of consciousness. Looking at the void close at hand, the two-star Holy Spirit's body fell back to the ground. This was a massacre. As long as Zi Chen wanted to, none of the one-star and two-star Holy Spirits could survive. From another perspective, one could see how terrifying the Holy Thunder Saber manipulation technique was. Zi Chen did not use the Holy Spirit flying dagger to kill the Holy Spirits who had fled far away because they were too far away. Even if he killed them, it would be useless. There were still many enemies here. These people would never give him a chance to pick up the spoils. The one-star and two-star Holy Spirits had either fled or died. The remaining ones were all three-star Holy Spirits. Compared to those people, their combat power was much stronger. Zi Chen rushed forward and used the 9 flashes of Holy Thunder to collect the spoils in the distance. Many three-star Holy Spirits caught up and used powerful attacks to stop him. Zi Chen's figure flashed. While avoiding these attacks, he approached the corpses and collected the spoils. This was relatively fast. After collecting all the spoils nearby, Zi Chen turned around and looked at the three-star Holy Spirits. His eyes were full of murderous intent. He was only a 2-star Holy Spirit. Once he refined the holy crystals they had turned into, there was a great chance that he could break through. He charged into the battlefield and started a bloody battle. His extreme speed, coupled with the demonic blade, caused the 3-star Holy Spirits to die one after another in front of Zi Chen. However, Zi Chen was surrounded and attacked by so many people. He also started to get injured, but his injuries were very light. "Get out of my way!" Suddenly, a familiar shout was heard. It was Tan Xiu. The aura of a 4-star Holy Spirit filled the world, forming a strong, oppressive force. The expressions of many 3-star Holy Spirits changed. They all turned to look at Tan Xiu. Zi Chen also stopped fighting. He, who had many bloody wounds on his body, was also looking at Tan Xiu coldly. "How dare you come out of the void? This time you will definitely die." Tan Xiu quickly approached and shouted at the others, "Get out of my way!" The 3-star Holy Spirits looked terrible. However, they did not dare to do anything at this moment. They all retreated. However, they also had their own thoughts in their hearts. For example, they would take advantage of the moment when the two of them were both injured to kill. Zichen looked at the approaching Tan Xiu and said indifferently, "You have mastered your combat skill. It's time to end this." Tan Xiu said coldly, "You will die today." Fist will began to swirl around him. The power of a 4-star Holy Spirit surged out from his body. The two of them had fought too many times. They knew the true combat strength of each other very well. Ordinary attacks were useless. Therefore, at this moment, Tan Xiu attacked with all his might. His fist will and holy power turned into a lion. The lion enveloped Tan Xiu's body. The lion was complete. Obviously, this self-created technique had reached its strongest state. The lion's roar shook the sky. A powerful wave spread out. The 3-star Holy Spirits, who were still unwilling to give up, were all shocked. They retreated again. Zichen felt the pressure. He did not dare to underestimate his opponent. As his expression became serious, he also used his strongest technique. Chapter 30, 420. The two of them had fought many times and had long been mortal enemies. They were also very familiar with each other. Of course, they would not hold back this time. The complete lion roar was deafening and affected the soul. Many 3-star Holy Spirits retreated again and again, not daring to get close. Zhu Kuei stood in the distance and watched this scene quietly. Whether Tan Xiu could rise or not depended on this battle. His men had already been arranged around. As long as Tan Xiu killed Zichen, he could guarantee that Tan Xiu would get Zichen's body and the soul that was about to dissipate. His gaze fell on Zichen. Zhu Kuei frowned slightly. What were the thunder balls on the surface of this guy's body? At this moment, Tan Xiu moved. He turned into a fistful lion and stepped into the sky, heading straight for Zichen. Zichen held the scabbard tightly with his left hand and the hilt with his right. The power of thunder madly converged on the blade, causing the scabbard to begin to tremble. At the same time, the demon bone was activated, and the 2 thunderballs also sank into it. The lion approached with a mighty aura. Zichen's black hair danced wildly, and his robes flapped. Zichen looked at the lion indifferently. His eyes lit up. It was the eye of destruction. The fist-will energy that formed the lion was thick and smooth. It was tightly connected, and there were no flaws at all. This was Tan Xiu's strongest attack, and it was much stronger than before. But Zichen was not afraid, because the greatest function of the Eye of Destruction was destruction. His eyes lit up. The invasion of an unfamiliar energy made the lion, which was formed by countless fist-will energies, loosen for a moment, as if it was about to collapse. This feeling disappeared in a flash, as if it was an illusion. Just as Tan Xiu was surprised and unsure if he was affected, Zichen pulled out his saber. His strongest attack, a shining thunder saber arc, cut through the sky like a waterfall and swept into the distance. The terrifying lion was split into 2. The 4-star Tan Xiu appeared with a bloody wound on his body. Blood flowed from the wound. The Holy Spirit light on his body became very dim, but he was not dead. His eyes were fixed on Zichen. His face was filled with unwillingness and disbelief. His comprehension of the technique was very perfect, and there were no flaws at all. Why was he unable to kill a mere 2-star? Zichen's face was a little pale. His previous all-out attack had consumed a lot of his energy. In the distance, Zhu Kuei was stunned. The surroundings were also in an uproar. The lion from before was so terrifying, but it didn't hurt Zichen at all. Instead, it was a 4-star Holy Spirit that was injured? Impossible. Tan Xiu's voice was a complete roar. He could not accept this reality. Zichen said in a deep voice, "You are indeed very strong, but I'm sorry that you met me." With that, Zichen began to form hand seals. This was the first time he had formally formed hand seals since his battle with Tan Xiu. This was also the main reason why he chose to fight here. In the void, the energy hand could appear at any time, and he did not dare to try. And here, forming the hand seal meant ending the battle. "I don't believe it. You have to die." Tan Xiu roared again, and the fist intent on his body continued to swirl around. The lion that Zichen had split apart earlier appeared again. Zichen looked at Tan Xiu with a cold and pitiful gaze. This was indeed an amazing expert, and he knew how to create his own technique. He had combat strength and talent, but unfortunately he met him. Zichen completed the hand seal, lightning controlling technique. A thunderous roar resounded in the sky above this world. The world suddenly lit up. The lightning was glaring, and everyone subconsciously closed their eyes. Lightning fell from the sky and struck Tan Xiu. The roar was deafening, and the whole world was shaking. The lion collapsed instantly, and at the same time, the lightning entered Tan Xiu's body. Tan Xiu felt a vast, ancient, and terrifying power surge into his body. In the next moment, the lightning power that he had cultivated was directly destroyed. He did not even have time to think, and his soul was also obliterated. The lightning controlling technique had consumed all of Zichen's power, including a lot of his life force. In his perception, Tan Xiu's body disappeared. This was the lightning controlling technique, a terrifying technique that no one in the Thunder Clan could master. When the glaring lightning dissipated, Zichen stood in front of the dead Tan Xiu and took away his body. The other divine spirits in the distance were confused, and they did not know what had happened. "Damn it!" Zhu Kuei shouted angrily, and the aura of a 5-star divine spirit erupted. The more terrifying pressure caused the 3-star divine spirits to come back to their senses. The 4-star divine spirit that was very terrifying to them was killed by the 2-star Zichen, although it was hard to believe they had seen it with their own eyes. Just as Zhu Kuei rushed forward, many 4-star divine spirits and 5-star divine spirits approached Zichen. This world had been completely sealed. Zichen could not escape even if he had wings. Many people were shocked and excited, and their eyes were full of greed. A 2-star divine spirit could kill a 4-star divine spirit. Other than his potential, another important reason was that he had mastered a powerful technique. Therefore, those 4-star existences and above could not hold themselves back and decided to attack Zichen. Facing the siege of so many experts, Zichen only had 1 life. Even if he had 10 lives, it would not be enough to kill him. Looking at the experts rushing toward him and sensing their soul auras, Zichen's expression was still calm. He remembered their faces and auras and said in a deep voice, "Everyone, Zichen will repay your kindness double in the future." As soon as he finished speaking, a talisman appeared in front of Zichen. It was left behind by the little girl when she escaped, and now it was activated by him. The ancient word "scape" started to shine, shining and dazzling. "Oh no, it's a space escape talisman. He's trying to escape." Some divine spirits cried out in alarm. Zhu Kuei sped up, and his eyes were full of killing intent. Today's events were completely beyond his expectations. He did not dare to imagine that a 2-star Zichen could kill Tan Xiu. However, no matter how fast he could not be faster than the activation of the talisman. As the attacks approached, the escape talisman was activated. A strong and dazzling light enveloped Zichen and took him away from this world. "Damn it, we can't let him escape." Zhu Kuei roared and ordered others to start searching for Zichen. Zichen appeared in the void. As he had expected, this place was safer than anywhere else. Not long after, divine spirits appeared in the sky above other planets and worlds, looking at the void from afar. Zi-Chen's tracks were found, but he did not care, for now this was his home ground. Except for the dead Tan Xiao, no one could stay here for long. After recovering his energy and refining the holy crystal, Zi-Chen tried to travel through the void and leave this star field. When Zhu Kuei found out that Zi-Chen had re-entered the void, his face was filled with anger. After thinking about it, he decided to go deeper. Chapter 30, 4:21. The reason why the starfield was so famous and no other forces came to destroy it was because there was a holy master here. In the depths of this world, there was a holy master's force. Julin was only a small force in this area. Zhu Kuei went straight in, so he could not see the holy master. He saw the starfield steward. To Zhu Kuei, the starfield steward was a real big shot, so it was not easy to see him. Zhu Kuei expressed his intention. The star domain steward sitting above frowned slightly as he looked down at Zhu Kuei. Zhu Kuei said in a deep voice, "Zi-Chen has mastered the most powerful thunder skill of the Thunder Tribe. If he escapes, it will be a great loss to our starfield." The starfield steward said, "So you want me to close the starfield gate and seal Zi-Chen in this starfield?" Zhu Kuei said, "I beg you, sir. I hope you don't miss this opportunity." The starfield steward said, "Do you know that Zi-Chen is from the Sacred Thunder region? Is he a core disciple of the Sacred Thunder region?" Zhu Kuei nodded and said, "I know, but there are many core disciples in the Sacred Thunder region. It's not like they haven't died before. Moreover, this time he came to us to cause trouble. Even if we kill him, it's just self-defense. Closing the starfield gate is not a small matter. Sir, don't worry. As long as Zi-Chen can't escape, I will show you a top thunder skill." The starfield steward smiled and said, "Take my token and tell the people at the starfield gate that the teleportation formation at the starfield gate needs to be repaired and closed." Zhu Kuei's face revealed a hint of joy. He took the token and quickly left. The starfield steward watched Zhu Kuei leave and did not speak for a long time. "Zi-Chen, the starfield gate has been closed. You can't escape. Leave the void quickly, and you may have a chance to live. Hand over your thunder skill, and the Fire Spirit organization will spare your life. If you don't come up, you will die in the void." Hearing the voices from the planets, Zi-Chen stopped moving forward. There was something strange about this void. If one wanted to leave, they would have to step into the teleportation array. But now that the teleportation array was closed, it was clearly impossible to leave. As for entering a planet, that was even more impossible. Ever since Zi-Chen displayed the lightning controlling technique, his enemies were no longer 2-star or 3-star existences. 4-star, 5-star, and perhaps some even stronger experts were paying attention to him. The only result of going ashore was death. Zi-Chen's spiritual sense swept through the spirit ring. He still had a lot of resources from the last time. If he refined all of them, it should be enough for him to break through to the 3-star realm. As for whether he would be able to leave after breaking through to 3-star, Zi-Chen was still unsure. Right now, the only thing he could do was to break through to 3-star. Within the void, the giant hand of energy would appear from time to time. As more and more people warned and threatened him, Zi-Chen became aware of the anomaly of this void. Above the void, which he could not see through, was actually a holy venerate weapon. It sealed off this star field, making the void incomparably dangerous. During this period, Zi-Chen also learned that there were many forces here, and Julin was only one of them. This was the most dangerous seclusion that Zi-Chen had started since he started cultivating. Not only did he have to stay away from the planet, but he also had to constantly be on guard against the giant hand of energy that could appear at any time. He did not dare to be careless. In this situation where his entire body and mind were on guard, Zi-Chen's improvement was extremely fast. Whether it was his physical body or his energy, it was the same. Zichen's world was officially named the Tianwu world, and it was open to the public. Zhou Lina was discussing cooperation with other forces, but it was not going well. Zichen had not returned for a long time, and there were rumors from the outside world, which made the development of the world very difficult. Among them, the people from the nearby Ganhai sanctuary would always come here to cause trouble. The teleportation array also had problems from time to time, and needed to be repaired and repaired. "My lord, the teleportation array cannot be used again." A confidant came to the hall. Zhou Lina was dealing with some matters. Hearing this, she raised her head, and a cold light flashed in her eyes. "Ganhai Sanctuary again." The confidant said, "My lord, Ganhai Sanctuary is obviously targeting us, and there have been some rumors in private recently that Lord Zichen has met with an accident." Zhou Lina waved her hand and said, "It's just rumors, no need to pay attention to them." The confidant said, "I also know that Lord Zichen will be fine, but Ganhai Sanctuary is always targeting us, and the GRA family who cooperates with us." Zhou Lina decisively interrupted the confidant. "Cooperation is a win-win situation. The GRA family status in the Sacred Thunder region is not low. If we can't even deal with a mere Ganhai Sanctuary, how can we cooperate with the GRA family? You go out. I will think of a way to deal with this matter." The confidant left, and Zhou Lina muttered, "I originally thought that I could hold on for a while, but it seems that I have to contact her in advance." Zhou Lina, through the people of the GRA family, sent a message to Lei Lan, who was cultivating in the Thunder Room in the core city. This was Zichen's instruction before he left. After Lei Lan received the message, she immediately rushed to the Tianwu world. The transmission array, which often had problems, was miraculously repaired with Lei Lan's arrival. After that, Lei Lan stayed in the Tianwu world. With a core disciple personally overseeing it, a lot of trouble was naturally avoided. This wave of targeting was finally over. In the void, Zichen was still refining the Saint crystals, piece by piece. At the top, energy vibrated, and a large energy hand descended from the sky. Zichen, who was sitting cross-legged, still had his eyes closed, as if he didn't notice the arrival of the large energy hand. Just as the large energy hand was about to reach him, lightning appeared around his body. 2 lightning balls flew out and exploded with a loud boom, forming a terrifying tremor force. The speed of the large energy hand was blocked. In the next moment, Zichen disappeared. When the energy dissipated, Zichen was sitting cross-legged a few hundred feet away, still refining the Saint crystals without opening his eyes. This was the 10th year he had stayed in the void. In the past 10 years, countless forces had used all kinds of threats and temptations to come and go, but in the end, they had completely given up on useless threats. And Zichen had also become familiar with this void, and he was even more familiar with the large energy hand. Now, even with his eyes closed, he could avoid the large energy hand. In the past 10 years, Zichen had continuously refined resources, and he had made great progress, and he was very close to the 3-star level. Another month passed, and Zichen, who had refined the last piece of Saint Crystal, released a powerful aura around him. Chapter 34:22. Feeling the change in his aura, Zichen let out a long sigh. This time, he had really used up all the resources he had on him. Now he only had materials left. Some were from Julin's treasure vault, and some were from killing other holy spirits. Other than materials, there was nothing else. Since he had broken through, the seal should have been lifted. Zichen planned to leave. However, just as he was about to move, he saw a figure flashing in the sky above an abandoned planet. Even though 10 years had passed, someone still hadn't forgotten about him and was still watching him. Zichen did not need to think about it to know who was being monitored. The Julin force. Before he decided to leave, Zichen still had a question to answer, so he had to go to Julin. Zi-Chun made a beeline for the ruined planet, and very quickly found the figure that had disappeared in a flash. He was only an ascending spirit tier cultivator, so Zi-Chun did not kill him. He merely knocked him out, and during that time, he found the token that belonged to Giant Forest. Zi-Chun took out a mask to hide his aura from his spirit ring and put it on his face. This was one of his spoils of war. Then he set off toward Julin. When he killed Insi, Zi-Chun already felt that something was wrong. For example, Insi had risked his life to escape the Holy Thunder region and even fought against the Holy Thunder clan to get the Holy Thunder crystal. Yet he had put it in the treasure vault instead of refining it. Also, the other party seemed to have known about his appearance and deliberately set up a trap. Insi was dead, but Zi-Chun believed that there must be someone in Julin who knew the reason for this. After teleporting to that familiar planet again and again, Zi-Chun released his spiritual thoughts. Within the range of his spiritual thoughts, he found 4 4-star Holy Spirits and 1 5-star Holy Spirit. After identifying a target, Zi-Chun's figure flashed and disappeared. The next moment, he appeared in front of a 4-star Holy Spirit. When the other party saw Zi-Chun, he was obviously shocked. "Don't be impulsive. I just have some questions for you. I have no intention of killing you." Zi-Chun looked at the 4-star Holy Spirit and said indifferently, "Brat, you finally come out after hiding for 10 years. The 4-star Holy Spirit, Taku, looked at Zi-Chun with obvious excitement in his eyes. The Holy Spirit power around him began to surge. Zi-Chun shook his head. This guy was too impulsive. In a flash, Zi-Chun disappeared. Taku's expression instantly changed. Whoa! A blade light swept past Taku's side. Taku's eyes widened and his body froze. Zi-Chun looked at the weak soul in front of him and asked again, "Tell me, what is your true relationship with the Thunder clan?" Taku's soul grinned. "Brat, you're dead." With a bang, the soul collapsed. Zi-Chun's expression changed slightly. An ear-piercing sound suddenly came from the outside world. Zi-Chun put away Taku's body, left the room, and looked at the sky. A light shield suddenly appeared and shrouded the city. In the city, shouts rose and fell, and holy spirits flew into the sky. Zi-Chun knew that his tracks were completely exposed, and a trace of anger flashed across his face. Since that was the case, then he would start a massacre. Within the range of his spiritual sense, holy spirits appeared one after another. These holy spirits were quickly locked onto by Zi-Chun. In the next moment, the Holy Spirit flying knife appeared and swept past the forehead of these holy spirits. Encountering these low-level or same-level holy spirits, Zi-Chun's Holy Thunder sword controlling technique could easily slaughter them. Just as the Holy Spirit's flying dagger finished off the enemy, Zi-Chun dashed towards the second 4-star Holy Spirit. The other ascending spirit realms did not know what was happening. Why did the city's protective array that had not been used for a long time suddenly activate? A powerful Holy Spirit flew into the sky. However, these Holy Spirits had just flown into the sky when they quickly fell to the ground, and their auras disappeared. Dead. Why did these Holy Spirits die all of a sudden? As far as the eye could see, one Holy Spirit after another died without any warning. The Holy Spirit flying knife was so fast that those ordinary ascending spirit realms could not detect it at all. Zi-Chun came in front of the second 4-star Holy Spirit. This was a familiar enemy who had chased after him before. When the two sides met, they did not say anything and only fought. After 3 breaths, the enemy died under the knife. Zi-Chun's slightly pale face quickly returned to normal, and then he charged toward the next 4-star Holy Spirit. It was not difficult for Zi-Chun to kill a 4-star Holy Spirit with a 3-star. After several years of self-refining, the demonic knife was no longer surging with demonic chi. Instead, there was some thunder power on it. This was the opportunity given by the Tree of Thunder, which allowed the demonic knife to exert the power of the Thunder Clan to a greater extent. After 10 years of refining, the effect was very obvious. The third 4-star, Holy Spirit, died under Zi Chen's demonic knife. The fourth 4-star, Holy Spirit, was Tan Xiu. Zi Chen looked at him and said coldly, "You're really not dead." The response to Zi Chen was a deafening lion's roar. Tan Xiu stared at Zi Chen with resentment. After the fist intent turned into a lion, it flew forward. Zi Chen's eyes lit up, the eye of destruction. 2 rays of light flew forward and sank into the lion. The lion slowed down, and the combined fist intent showed signs of collapsing. Buzz! Zi Chen unsheathed the demonic knife in his hand. This was an all-out attack. The knife light approached, and the lion was split into 2. The fist intense energy dissipated, and Tan Xiu's figure appeared. There was a bloody mark on his body. This time, the mark directly ran through his entire body. He stared at Zi Chen, his eyes wide open. He could not believe that when they met again, his all-out attack could not even block one move. His consciousness dissipated, and Zi Chen took away the spoils. "Boy, you're courting death." Zhu Kuei's voice sounded from afar. Everything happened too quickly, so fast that it was completely beyond Zhu Kuei's expectations. By the time he arrived, the battle was already over. The 4 4-star divine spirits were all killed. Zi Chen looked up at Zhu Kuei, murderous intent surging in his eyes. "Time to die. You're courting death." The 5-star Zhu Kuei slapped down with his palm. The sky shook, and this palm covered the sky. Zi Chen leaped into the air. 2 thunderballs surrounded his body, and in the next moment, they sank into the demonic knife. The demonic knife was unsheathed, drawing an arc in the air. The palm was split into 2, but the power of the arc did not diminish. It swept toward Zhu Kuei. Zhu Kuei stretched out his fist and punched down. There was a loud boom. The blade light shattered, and Zhu Kuei's body flew backward. Zi Chen's figure flashed, and he appeared in front of Zhu Kuei. "You're courting death." Zhu Kuei shouted. A big black axe appeared in his hand, and he slashed toward the side. There was a clanging sound. Zi Chen and Zhu Kuei both retreated. Zi Chen, who had retreated, disappeared again. He used the 9 flashes of holy thunder. He kept trying to get closer to Zhu Kuei, and at the same time he slashed down with the demonic knife. The clanging sound resounded throughout the trading area. Many ascending spirit realm cultivators in the distance looked at the battle in the air in horror. The scattered waves touched the protective array, causing ripples, and then disappeared. "Boy, go to hell!" The 5-star Zhu Kuei actually could not take down Zi Chen. This made him feel ashamed. With a roar, the giant axe in his hand released countless streaks of black qi. Chapter 34:23. The giant black axe above his head fell with a powerful aura. This was the full force of Zhu Kuei's attack. The terrifying aura fell on Zi Chen, affecting his speed. The pressure came from all directions and fell on him. Zi Chen opened his eyes and light appeared. It was the eye of destruction. In terms of resisting pressure, Zi Chen was very experienced in the past 10 years. With a buzz, the energy around him trembled. Together with the eye of destruction, Zi Chen disappeared. The giant axe's attack missed. Zi Chen flashed to Zhu Kuei's side and unsheathed his demonic saber. Zhu Kuei was a 5-star divine spirit, so his reaction was very fast. He blocked the attack with his giant axe. With a clang, Zi Chen retreated. Outside the sealed area, the other Spirit Ascension Realm cultivators were looking at the battle in the sky with shock on their faces. A 3-star divine spirit was actually on par with a 5-star divine spirit. How was this possible? Moreover, it seemed that the 3-star divine spirit was the one initiating the attack. Is this the Holy Thunder Clan's 9 flashes of Holy Thunder? As expected of one of the top speed cultivators in the Saint Spirit Realm. even in front of a 5-star divine spirit, he is not at a disadvantage. The top technique of the Holy Thunder Clan. Whoever masters will be invincible among those of the same level. Amidst the exclamations of the crowd, Zi-Chun attacked again and again. However, these attacks were all blocked by Zhu Kuei. Although he had the absolute advantage in strength, Zhu Kuei was not happy at all. This was because he realized that Zi-Chen's speed was getting faster and faster during the battle. Almost every time they exchanged blows, there would be a clear difference in speed. This made Zhu Kuei feel a lot of pressure, and he frowned. "Don't tell me I'm going to die here?" he thought to himself. He had a bad feeling, and at the same time he mobilized the powerful energy in his body. Boom! The void shook and countless holy lights flew out of his body. The giant axe trembled, and another powerful attack appeared. Zi-Chen looked at this powerful attack, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. He took a deep breath and muttered, "It's about time." The giant axe fell, and endless pressure swept over. This pressure was similar to the pressure in the void. Zi-Chen's eyes flashed as he activated the Eye of Destruction. At the same time, lightning circulated around his body, and he disappeared. Just as he disappeared, Zi-Chen activated 3 of the 9 flashes of holy lightning. He had just comprehended the 3rd flash. After all, he had the foundation of rapid cultivation, so it was not difficult for him to comprehend the 3rd flash. He stood in front of Zhu Kuei and unsheathed his demonic blade. His strongest attack, 2 condensed holy power thunderballs, sank into the demonic blade. This sudden turn of events caused Zhu Kuei's expression to change drastically. Zi-Chen's speed became even faster, and he had no time to attack. Therefore, at this critical juncture, he chose to defend. The light of the Holy Spirit circulated on the surface of his body, forming a powerful defense. The Eye of Destruction reappeared. The flow of light stopped for a moment. At this moment, the demonic blade closed in. With a puff, blood splattered everywhere as Zhu Kuei was sent flying backwards. His eyes were filled with fear. Zi-Chen sheathed his blade and followed up with the 3rd flash of holy lightning. As he moved forward, he clenched his fist and punched. Holy lightning, explode! This was the technique after the advancement of Thunderburst. It combined Zi-Chen's strongest physical strength with Abdomen's lightning power. With a loud bang, the thunderbolt that exploded completely engulfed Zhu Kuei's body. The light circulating around Zhu Kuei's body shattered in an instant. His eyes were filled with shock. He did not expect his opponent to be so powerful. Right at this moment, there was a flash of lightning. The Holy Spirit flying dagger, which had been waiting for a long time, sank into Zhu Kuei's mind. The powerful force went straight into Zhu Kuei's soul and destroyed it. Zhu Kuei's aura was rapidly dissipating. He stared at Zi-Chen as if he wanted to say something. Buzz! Zi-Chen's 2nd attack arrived. It was still at full strength as it swept past Zhu Kuei's body. Zhu Kuei was split into 2. 1 attack, 1 punch, 1 Holy Spirit flying dagger, and finally another attack. With the help of the 3rd flash of holy lightning and the Eye of Destruction, Zi-Chen used 4 attacks to kill an enemy 2 levels higher. Looking at the dead Zhu Kuei, the pale-faced Zi-Chen heaved a sigh of relief. The continuous battle had consumed a lot of his energy. Of course, the effect was also very good. Zi-Chen quickly swallowed an elixir and put away the spoils of war. He turned around and looked at his surroundings. The entire sealed space had become completely silent. He had destroyed the powerhouses of Julin's faction just like that. Zi-Chen did not leave immediately. Instead, he turned around and walked toward the original treasure trove. But after walking for 100 feet, he suddenly stopped and frowned slightly. He did not know why, but he suddenly felt a sense of danger in his heart. Boom! A building in the distance exploded. In the billowing smoke and dust, a giant bird appeared from the ground and soared into the sky. The giant bird was more than 200 feet in size. It had a sharp beak, and its body was covered with countless fine scales. The moment he saw the giant bird, Zi-Chun exclaimed, "Julin!" This faction was called Julin. There was a giant bird engraved on their identity token, and the leader's name was Julin. He did not think much of it before, but after seeing the giant bird, he finally understood. The one who had died earlier was not Julin. This giant bird was, "People of the Lightning Clan, how dare you!" Julin soared into the sky and flapped his wings. Like a storm, many of the buildings below were destroyed. Zi-Chun looked at this scene in shock. Julin's aura was much stronger than Ju Kuei's. At this moment, Zi-Chun was not a match for Julin, even if he was not exhausted, let alone the fact that he had used up a lot of energy. Without hesitation, Zi-Chun's body disappeared. He was ready to escape. "You want to leave?" Julin's eyes stared coldly in a certain direction. A blazing flame suddenly appeared and blocked Zi-Chun's path. The 3 flashes of holy thunder, which had suppressed Ju Kuei previously, was useless in front of Julin. At the same time, a strong force rushed out of the flame and landed on Zi-Chun, sending him flying. Zi-Chun, who was sent flying, moved his body in midair and displayed the 3 flashes to the extreme. His body seemed to split into 3, appearing in 3 different directions. Then he disappeared again, and his real body appeared a few hundred feet away. Just as he appeared, the 3 afterimages Zi-Chun left behind were torn apart by the strong force. Julin's strength was beyond imagination. "Die!" Julin opened his mouth and spat out a large flame. Zi-Chun's Eye of Destruction appeared, and he attacked with all his strength. The arc of the blade pierced through the air and landed on the flame. The effect of the Eye of Destruction was almost negligible. It only distorted the flame and drowned the arc of the blade. With a bang, the arc of the blade exploded. Zi-Chun coughed up blood and flew backward. He looked up at Julin in the sky, his eyes full of fear. The giant forest swooped down, as if it was carrying a tornado with it. Many buildings were torn apart. Its eyes were filled with savagery. Chapter 34:24. The appearance of Julin was completely out of Zi-Chun's expectations. Now that he was facing a life and death crisis and had nowhere to run, he could only choose to risk his life. The lightning manipulation technique was Zi-Chun's greatest reliance and one of his greatest trump cards. He did not hesitate to use it. Ever since he learned the lightning manipulation technique, this technique had never disappointed him. Seal up, seal down. Zi-Chun's eyes were fixed on Julin. His goal was not to hurt his enemy, but to kill him. His belief was firm. As if sensing his intention, the energy in his body was quickly draining away. The merged power in abdomen disappeared in the blink of an eye. The 2-star saint energy in his body was also disappearing quickly. Zi-Chun, who was originally full of vitality, became weak in an instant. His body became very thin, as if his flesh and blood had been swallowed up. He was only skin and bones. His eyes were deep in his eye sockets, and there was no strength in his body. He looked like a walking skeleton. It was a terrifying sight. Seal down! Boom! A thunderous roar came from the sky. The sealed area was illuminated by lightning. Heaven and earth were pale white. Everyone was temporarily blinded. The strong lightning made them unable to see anything. They could only hear the rolling thunder and the screams in the thunder. Those were Julin's screams. The glaring lightning glow gradually scattered, and the miserable screams also slowly faded away. Zi-Chun, who was like a skeleton, stared at the sky. In the air, Julin's huge body was emitting black smoke as it fell to the ground. Its huge body fell in front of Zi-Chun. The ground began to shake, and a huge crater appeared. Smoke and dust flew everywhere. Julin, who was so arrogant before, was now a corpse. Looking at Julin's scales that were still intact, Zi-Chun nodded in satisfaction. This was not a loss. The crisis from Julin was resolved. However, in Zichen's heart he was more thankful. If it were not for the fact that he had the body of a 2-star saint to provide him with energy, the thunder manipulation technique, which was close to a life-changing technique, would have taken his life first. He walked forward like a skeleton walking in the world. During this time, he swallowed several low-quality pills in succession, allowing his strength to return a step further. He put away Julin's body, then glanced at the ascending spirit tier cultivators in the distance, who were almost petrified. Only then did he turn around and walk towards the door of the treasure vault. He's already exhausted. Let's kill him. A voice suddenly came from the quiet crowd. Even if they were at the ascending spirit tier, they had seen many storms and waves. When many people saw Zichen's state, they guessed that he had already exhausted his energy to the limit. Under such circumstances, there was still an extremely high possibility that these ascending spirit tiers could kill a divine spirit if they joined forces. That's right, his chi and blood are already exhausted. Everyone quickly attack. Someone shouted again. However, there were many people shouting, but no one was making a move. Many people were just watching. Zichen did not care about those voices at all. At this moment, a ray of light appeared in the distance, heading straight for Zichen. It was a 1-star divine spirit. He had been suppressing his cultivation level, worried that Zichen would kill him, so he hid in the distance. This time, he felt that his chance had come. He held a long sword tightly in his hand. The quality of this sword was not high, and it was only an ascending spirit tier weapon. It was obvious that even if he was a divine spirit, he did not have much resources. He stabbed forward, wanting to kill Zichen with a sneak attack. Facing this attack, Zichen did not dodge, as if he did not notice. Seeing that the 1-star divine spirit was about to succeed, a look of excitement flashed in his eyes. If he could really kill his opponent, then he would gain a lot this time. Unexpectedly at this moment, a bolt of lightning suddenly appeared, taking advantage of the divine spirit's unpreparedness and piercing through his mind. Only then did Zichen turn around, looking at his opponent with a mocking expression. Although he had expended a lot of energy, and indeed did not have the strength to fight again, the divine spirit flying dagger could attack the enemy on its own. Killing a mere 1-star divine spirit was nothing. The ascending spirit tiers who had been shouting loudly and urging the others to attack were all dumbfounded when they saw the divine spirit die. A 1-star divine spirit had been killed in an instant. If it had been them, it would have been a massacre. However, in a battle of slaughter, the advantage of numbers was of no use. Zichen put away the 1-star divine spirit's corpse, turned around, and walked toward the treasury. He was not fast, and he did not seem to be in a hurry. During this time, many people's expressions changed, but no one dared to try. When he arrived at the door of the treasury, Zichen used the Eye of Destruction to easily break through the restrictions, and then entered the treasury. After the restrictions behind him closed, Zichen could not hold it in anymore, and he coughed up a mouthful of blood. Then he sat down cross-legged, not paying any attention to the treasures in the treasury. This time he had achieved a great victory, but he had also paid a great price. He had lost at least half of his life. After stabilizing his breath, Zichen released his spiritual thoughts again and focused on searching for healing pills in the treasury. At this moment, only these things could save his life. He had looted this place once before, but he did not know if it was because of overconfidence. But Julin's forces did not move the other things away. However, Zichen only managed to find some ordinary pills after a round of searching. He didn't find a single one of those high-quality healing pills that were meant for holy spirits. Without these pills, it would take a long time for Zichen, who had lost half of his life, to recover. During this time, danger would definitely come again. Suddenly, Zichen thought of a possibility. He immediately used his spiritual thoughts to probe Julin's corpse, and began to search the surface of the corpse. After a while, a cloth bag appeared in Zichen's hand. This was a rare space bag, and there was a lot of space inside. There were indeed many things in this space bag, and among them were the healing pills that Zi-Chun urgently needed, and the quality of these pills was not low. Waves of saint power swirled within the pill. It was very pure and very rich. There were only 3 of these pills, and Zi-Chun did not hesitate to swallow one. As soon as the pill entered his stomach, it immediately turned into a surge of vitality and automatically repaired the damage to his body. Zi-Chun did not know that this was a recovery elixir unique to the Saint Spirit realm. The elixir that Zi-Chun had just swallowed had 4 lines of light on it, which meant that it was a grade 4 elixir. Such a high-quality pill was prepared for divine spirits of 4-star and above. Zi-Chun was only a 3-star, so it was a waste to swallow a 4-star divine spirit pill to recover. Zi-Chun didn't know this. He only knew that the quality of this pill was really good. He had originally planned on swallowing another one, but he didn't expect that just one pill would allow him to recover his energy in an extremely short period of time. Sensing the rapid recovery of his injuries and his rejuvenated qi and blood, Zi-Chun was very happy. This had saved him the time to deliberately recover. Therefore, Zi-Chun began to collect the items in the treasury. Everything that glowed or did not glow was collected by Zi-Chun. This was a treasury, and useless items would not be placed here. Of course, the most valuable items would not be here either. For example, the high-quality divine spirit pill. After collecting all the items, Zi-Chun's injuries had completely healed, and his missing flesh had also been replenished. This speed was completely beyond his expectations. Then he quickly walked out of the treasury. Chapter 34:25. Originally, all the holy spirits on this planet had died, and the remaining ones were all in the ascending spirit realm. Moreover, this place was sealed by a special array, so no one could leave. But while he was recuperating, the seal had already disappeared. There were people all around, completely surrounding the treasure vault and sealing the space around it. These people were all holy spirits. Zi-Chun looked at the holy spirits in shock, and then saw the greed and killing intent in their eyes. Of course, there was also a little shock. After all, Zi-Chun was only one person, and a 3-star holy spirit at that. How could he kill all the masters of the Julin clan? Even the powerful leader Julin was killed. One had to know that Julin's combat power was very strong. Even if he encountered a 6-star holy spirit, he could still fight. What do you mean by this? Zi-Chun looked at the holy spirits who were eyeing him covetously. Brat, are you pretending to be stupid? Don't you know what we mean? One of the holy spirits laughed sarcastically. The holy spirit's realm was very high. Zi-Chun released his spiritual thoughts, but he couldn't sense the holy spirit's realm through his aura. Obviously, even if the holy spirit wasn't a 6-star master, he was definitely a master at the level of Julin. Zi-Chun's eyes continued to move, and he saw one holy spirit after another. He couldn't sense the aura of these holy spirits. Obviously, during the time he was in the treasure vault, many masters from different forces rushed over as soon as they heard the news. Now, even if Zi-Chun fought with all his might, he could only defeat one opponent at most. You want the spoils? I'll give them to you, Zi-Chun said again. The Holy Spirit said coldly, we want the spoils, but that's not our main purpose. Hand over the thunder skills and the Thunder Clan battle weapon you have. Zi-Chun said, I can give you the spoils, but do you dare to take the thunder skills? Do you think you can get a share of the Holy Thunder Clan's things? The Holy Spirit was stunned at first, but then he laughed loudly. There was laughter all around. Kid, I thought you were a vicious and merciless person since you were able to kill Julin, but I didn't expect you to be so childish. Let me tell you, although the Holy Thunder region is powerful, not everyone in the Holy Spirit world gives face to the Holy Thunder Clan. Murderous intent flickered in the other party's eyes. The name of the Holy Thunder Clan isn't always useful. Now hand it over quickly, or you will die a horrible death. At this moment, a lot of pressure fell on Zichen. Zichen's body couldn't move at all. The pressure from these experts was too terrifying, even surpassing that of the void outside. In the face of such pressure, Zichen found it extremely difficult to speak, even if he wanted to. Cold sweat dripped from his face. This time, Zichen truly felt the threat of death. He didn't even have the chance to make a move. These people could kill him just by using pressure alone. One after another, powerful auras fell on Zichen. Through these auras, Zichen not only sensed many 6-star Holy Spirits, but also 7-star Holy Spirits. A sense of helplessness rose in his heart, and his eyes were full of helplessness. "Kid!" Just as the sacred spirit was about to say something, the pressure on Zichen's body suddenly disappeared before he could finish his sentence. The group of Holy Spirits was stunned, and then they all looked up at the sky. They saw a person standing there. To be precise, it was a little girl. She wasn't very old, and she was standing in the air, looking down at the group of Holy Spirits indifferently. Zichen looked up and saw the little girl. The moment he saw the other party's appearance, his expression changed because he recognized the other party. It was the little girl that he had scared away when he first entered the giant forest's treasure trove. At that time, the little girl had left behind a talisman in a panic. 10 years ago, that talisman had saved his life. "Who are you?" All the Holy Spirits looked at the little girl, and their faces were full of vigilance. She could dissolve the pressure of everyone's auras in an instant, so she was obviously not weak. The little girl ignored everyone and looked down at Zichen. She praised him. "Well done." Her voice was very young, but at this moment she was pretending to be an elder. It was a little strange. "Who exactly are you?" The Holy Spirit who was ignored was angry. He took a step forward, and his powerful aura went straight for the little girl. The little girl waved her hand gently, and a strong wind blew away the Holy Spirit's aura. In the next moment, the 6-star Holy Spirit was sent flying in the air. With just a wave of her hand, she sent a 6-star Holy Spirit flying. How powerful was this little girl? The group of Holy Spirits' faces changed, and some of them subconsciously stepped back. Zichen was also very shocked. He didn't expect this little girl to be so powerful. "Yiling, you broke the rules." Suddenly, a cold voice sounded from outside the planet. Yiling looked up at the voice, and a trace of disdain flashed in the corner of her mouth. "Rules? You have rules in this star zone? Humph, this isn't your sacred thunder tribe. You can't do whatever you want here." The voice that came from nowhere was clearly dissatisfied. Yiling was still disdainful. "Why? Are you going to fight me? Then let me see if the weapon you used to seal the void has reached the venerable level." As soon as she said that, the Holy Spirits who had retreated were shocked again. This time, when they looked at the little girl, not only was there no anger, but there was also great respect. "Greetings, Holy Senior." The group of Holy Spirits bowed respectfully. Holy Senior was an existence that surpassed the Holy Spirits. This level of powerhouse belonged to the top of the Holy Spirit realm, and they could easily destroy them with a snap of their fingers. When they found out the little girl's identity, they also guessed the identity of the person who was talking to her. That person was the master of this holy realm. Zichen was also shocked. He did not expect this little girl to have such a powerful background. The Holy Senior of the Holy Thunder Clan. But why did she look like a child? Didn't they say that Holy Seniors were all patriarchs? Suddenly, Zichen thought of another patriarch. Yimai. The other party was a child, but her identity was frighteningly high. Yimai Yiling. Could she be the spiritual ancestor of the 2 spiritual ancestors? Zichen widened his eyes in disbelief. The Holy Thunder Realm is so impressive. Why, do you really think you are invincible? The voice of the Holy Senior rang out again. "I don't know if we are invincible or not. I only know that you are bullying us with numbers and you are shamelessly suppressing us with a higher cultivation level." Yi Ling said, "Fearless, I won't bully you. I have 3-star Holy Spirits on my side. You can send 3-star Holy Spirits or 4-star Holy Spirits. As long as they can kill my people, you can do it. I won't interfere in the middle." "Humph." The Holy Senior, named Fearless, snorted coldly. As a Holy Senior, of course he knew what happened in this star realm. He clearly saw Zi Chen's combat strength, not to mention those of the same level. Even 4-star Holy Spirits would not be able to suppress him. One-on-one was even more impossible. "I will take it as giving Lady face." Fearless snorted again. Yi Ling smiled and said, "That's good. He has some connections with Lady." After saying that, Yi Ling came to Zi Chen's side and said, "Let's go. Your mission is complete." Zi Chen shook his head slightly. "Please wait a moment, Holy Senior." Chapter 34:26. When Zi Chen was killing the 4-star Holy Spirits, many Holy Spirits below 4-star were killed by the Holy Spirit Flying Dagger. Those were the spoils of war, and Zi Chen did not have the time to pick them up. Of course, Zi Chen did not want his spoils to be taken away by others. With the Holy Venerate around, he was not afraid of the crowd. The Holy Spirits were all taken aback by this loud shout, which was clearly a show of strength and intimidation. Seeing that the Holy Spirits did not respond, Zi Chen said again, "If you don't hand them over, none of you will leave here alive today. All of you will die." The meaning behind his words was even more obvious, and all of the Holy Spirit's expressions turned extremely ugly upon hearing this. If the Holy Venerate was not here, they could have killed this guy with one slap. "Why? Are you not going to hand them over?" Zi Chen said angrily, "Don't you feel ashamed? How dare you steal the spoils of a 3-star Holy Spirit? This is the Holy Venerate's territory. As the Holy Venerate's subordinates, don't you feel ashamed of your actions? You are tarnishing the Holy Venerate's reputation so brazenly. What use do the Holy Venerate have for you?" The crowd was speechless. How did this have anything to do with the Holy Venerate? However, the Holy Venerate's consciousness was here. They could clearly feel a chill coming from the outside world. None of them said anything and took out their spoils. Zi Chen took them away without hesitation. He would not come to this place a second time, so there was no need for him to leave his spoils to these ill-intentioned people. The patriarch of Yi Ling watched silently. She did not say anything, but she did not object either. After Zi Chen collected all of the spoils of war, he walked over to Yi Ling with a smile on his face. "Greetings, patriarch." Zi Chen was not embarrassed at all when he bowed to a little girl. Instead, he greeted her warmly. Yi Ling waved her hand and said, "Let's go." The next moment, the two of them disappeared. Trash! At the same time, the fearless Holy Venerate left a cold voice, and his consciousness also left. The mighty Julin Holy Spirit sect was destroyed by a 3-star Holy Spirit sect. "Ancestor, what's going on?" After leaving the star field, Zi Chen finally asked the question in his heart. "Julin's forces are related to a certain family in the Holy Thunder region," said Yi Ling's great ancestor. "Could it be that someone from the Thunder clan wants to kill me?" Zi Chen asked. "There's no direct evidence yet. I'll get someone to investigate it carefully when I get back." Yi Ling said, "Your performance this time was very good. Through this matter, you can also warn the other forces that when we, the Holy Thunder Clan, turn a blind eye, we are showing the greatest benevolence and forgiveness to this world. Once we become serious, the 3 stars can destroy a force." When Zi Chen heard this, his eyes immediately lit up. "If that's the case, may I ask if there will be additional rewards when we return?" Yi Ling glanced at Zi Chen and said, "A heavenly sovereign has protected you for 10 years. Is this not enough of a reward?" Zi Chen was stunned. It seemed that Yi Ling's great ancestor was already here when he came to this star field. The escape talisman last time was also deliberately left behind by the great ancestor. However, in the past 10 years, Zi-Chen's life was not satisfactory. Other than fighting and killing, he also had to be vigilant of the energy hand in the void at all times. Of course, Zi-Chen did not try to bargain with the great ancestor, because the great ancestor would definitely say that this was the greatest training for him. There was no need to think about additional rewards. He could only admit that he was unlucky. Fortunately, this time he gained a lot. Not only did he break through, but his physical body also became stronger. As long as he went back and cultivated in seclusion for a while, he believed that his physical body would be able to break through again and reach the 3-star Holy Force realm. At the same time, there were many spoils of war that had not been counted. After returning to the Holy Thunder region, Yi Ling and Zi-Chin separated. Looking at the spirit ancestor who had disappeared, Zi-Chin fell into deep thought. Who was it that wanted to harm him this time? It had been a long time since he had returned to the world to take a look. Zi-Chin planned to go there first. He could go back with just a thought. However, after some consideration, Zi-Chan decided to teleport over from the trading place. At the same time, he wanted to see how his world had developed over the past 10 years. After teleporting over and over again, Zi-Chin arrived at the Ganhai sacred region. After that, he walked toward the teleportation portal. There were many people waiting to be teleported here. He did not know if they were going to his world. Zi-Chin, who was walking forward, quickly thought of a problem. He did not know what his world was called, and how should he teleport? He shook his head and planned to leave directly. Suddenly, a conversation attracted his attention. I want to go to the Tianwu world. Please open the teleportation portal. The teleportation portal is broken. It was broken a while ago. Didn't you say that it would be fixed today? Keep waiting. I wonder when it will be fixed. Why are you talking so much nonsense? If I ask you to wait, then wait. If you can't wait, fly over from the void yourself. Zi-Chin, who was preparing to leave, walked over. If he was not wrong, that Tianwu world should be his world. However, why was it not allowed to be teleported? Zi-Chin walked closer, looked at the depressed ascending spirit realm cultivator, and asked, "You want to go to the Tianwu world?" The other party looked at Zi-Chin warily. Zi-Chin smiled and said, "Don't misunderstand. I also plan to go there, but unfortunately I can't teleport. You come here often. Do you know when this teleportation portal was broken?" The ascending spirit realm cultivator smiled bitterly and said, "It started to break 10 years ago. It was just that it was repaired several times during this period. Who knew that it would break again now? Recently, it has been broken for 3 months." Zi-Chin asked doubtfully, "How can a teleportation portal be broken so easily?" The ascending spirit realm cultivator glanced at the guard beside him and hesitated to speak. "You two scram to the side. Don't get in the way here." The guard from before pointed at Zi-Chin and said. Zi-Chin glanced at the guard, then looked at the teleportation portal in front of him and said, "This teleportation portal is broken. Is it your idea or your family's idea?" The ascending spirit realm cultivator beside him had a look of fear on his face. He tugged at the corner of Zi-Chen's clothes and said, "Little brother, don't cause trouble. This is the Ganhai sanctuary. We'll just wait a few more days." Zi-Chin said, "If it's really broken, it's fine to wait a few days. However, this teleportation portal is clearly not broken." "What did you say?" A cold killing intent appeared in the eyes of the guard from before. Zi-Chin pointed at the teleportation portal in front of them and said, "I said this teleportation portal is not broken at all. Why do we have to wait? You're courting death." The guard stepped forward and released the aura of an intermediate ascending spirit realm cultivator, suppressing Zi-Chin. Zi-Chin said, "I have some understanding of teleportation portals. I'm very sure that it's in good condition." The ascending spirit realm cultivator beside him kept winking at Zi-Chin, but Zichen was unmoved. Suddenly, a long spear flew over from the side and directly entered the teleportation portal. The patterns on the teleportation portal lit up a few times and were destroyed. Chapter 34:27. The long spear was inserted into the teleportation array, completely destroying it. A middle-aged man walked over and looked at Zichen coldly. "Is it broken now?" Zichen nodded and said yes. The middle-aged man sneered and said, "At least you have good eyesight. Men, capture these two guys who destroyed the teleportation array." The Spirit Ascension Realm cultivator beside Zichen's face changed drastically, and he hurriedly begged for mercy in horror. "Sir, it has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with me." The middle-aged man snorted and said, "They actually dared to fight in the Ganhai Sanctuary and damaged the teleportation array, causing the future Tianwu world to be unable to use the teleportation array for at least 10 years. Their crimes are punishable by death." When the other guards heard this, they all ran over, all of them filled with killing intent. Zichen laughed when he heard this. "Who gave you the courage to invert black and white?" "Invert black and white?" The Spirit Ascension Realm cultivator raised his eyebrows and said angrily, "So many people saw it with their own eyes, and you actually said that I inverted black and white." Needless to say, the other guards' eyes were full of coldness. As for the other people around, after meeting the gaze of the Spirit Ascension Realm Guard Captain, they all nodded. The guard captain laughed. After so many years, there was finally a hothead. This matter could be solved once and for all. With a fool taking the blame, the teleportation array to the Tianwu world could be completely destroyed. He shouted, "How dare you destroy the teleportation array? Capture them!" A group of guards stepped forward. Zichen's expression was cold and indifferent as he said, "This is simply lawless." The guard captain mocked, "How is it lawless to punish the sinners who destroyed the teleportation array? We are punishing evil and eliminating evil." "Sir, I don't know him. This matter has nothing to do with me," the Spirit Ascension Realm cultivator shouted in horror. Through this matter, Zichen could see many problems. However, he obviously wouldn't lower himself to the same level as these people. After all, he was an existence who had even killed a 5-star Holy Spirit. He narrowed his eyes slightly, and an invisible pressure spread out. The guards who were coming forward instantly froze as if they were petrified. Such a scene caused their expressions to change drastically, and their eyes revealed horror. Holy Spirit!" The captain's voice was trembling. Zichen said in a deep voice, "Ganhai, get the hell out here!" He couldn't possibly fuss over this matter with a mere ascending spirit tier cultivator, but he definitely wouldn't let this matter go just like that, either. In that case, he could only look for the master of the Ganhai sacred region. For these people to be so bold, they must have received Ganhai's silent approval. Zichen's voice exploded like a clap of thunder. At this moment, the face of the captain of the guards from before, he was filled with fear. He knew that he had kicked an iron plate. He had provoked an existence that he should not have provoked. Not to mention him, even Lord Ganhai would not dare to provoke such an existence. The Spirit Ascending Tier cultivator, who had previously tried his best to distance himself from Zichen, was now completely dumbfounded. "Ganhai, get out here!" Zichen's voice reverberated throughout the entire planet, reaching every corner of the planet. "Who dares to make a ruckus here?" A majestic voice was heard as the aura of a Holy Spirit spread toward them. A straight Holy Spirit light bridge extended from afar. Ganhai stood on the Holy Spirit light bridge, looking extremely confident as he approached from afar. He wore a long robe and stood with his hands behind his back, looking down below. "Who's making a ruckus?" Zichen said, "You're Ganhai." Ganhai looked at Zichen, frowned slightly, and asked, "Who are you?" "Zichen." Gon Hai's eyes flashed slightly, and then a smile immediately appeared on his face. He clasped his fists and said, "I've long known that a neighbor named Zi Qin came to Gon Hai Sanctuary, but I've never paid a visit. I didn't expect to see you here." Zi Qin ignored the other party's goodwill and said indifferently, "Forget about trying to worm your way into being friends with me. Now tell me, what do you have to say about this matter?" Zi Qin pointed at the teleportation array that was destroyed by the spear, and a murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "If you don't give me a reasonable explanation, I'll still kill you even if you're a 5-star Holy Spirit." Being threatened by Zi Qin like this, a touch of anger flashed across Gon Hai's face. He snorted coldly and said, "What a big tone! You're indeed a core disciple of the Holy Thunder Clan. What? You think you can do whatever you want in the outer domain?" Zi Qin said coldly, "You can try if you don't believe me." A demonic blade appeared in his hand, and his eyes were filled with coldness. Gon Hai narrowed his eyes. "What, you want to fight me?" "No, I want to kill you." Zi Qin shook his head. When the voice disappeared, he had already arrived in front of Gon Hai. Gon Hai's pupils shrank, and he shouted, "Zi Qin, how dare you!" Buzz! The demonic blade was unsheathed, and a blade arc flew forward. "You're courting death." Gon Hai shouted angrily, and a long spear appeared in his hand, which he thrust forward. With a loud bang, a terrifying shockwave spread out in all directions. Swoosh! Just as the shockwave spread out, Zi Qin quickly approached and slashed down for the second time. In addition to the power of thunder, this attack also contained 2-star Saint power and the power of the demonic bone. This was Zi Qin's full strength, second only to the lightning controlling technique. At such a close distance, facing Zi Qin's attack, Gon Hai's expression changed drastically. He immediately blocked with the long spear in his hand, and at the same time, lightning appeared around his body. That was his defense. Zi Qin's eyes lit up as he used the Eye of Destruction. With a loud bang, the long spear in Gon Hai's hand was sent flying. At the same time, the blade continued forward and swept past the defensive light on the surface of Gon Hai's body. Blood splattered in the air as Gon Hai's body was thrown far away. A deep blade mark appeared on his chest, and Saint blood gushed out. "Zi Qin, you!" Gon Hai looked at Zi Qin in horror. His opponent was only a 3-star. Who would have thought that in just 2 exchanges he would be injured? On the surface of his wound, there was residual power of thunder wriggling. His power couldn't be removed. As for the ascending spirit realm, cultivators below, they were terrified. They also didn't expect the battle to be over so quickly. The core disciples were known as the strongest disciples of the Holy Thunder Clan. Now, it seemed that they lived up to their reputation. Zi Qin sheathed his blade and looked at Gon Hai indifferently. "I need an explanation for this." Gon Hai's expression was extremely ugly. Buzz! Zi Qin drew his saber for the 3rd time. The saber light flew into the distance and landed on the tallest building in the area. With a boom, the building exploded and screams could be heard. Zi Qin knew that it was Gon Hai's property. As the building collapsed, Gon Hai suffered a great loss. In the next moment, Zi Qin disappeared and returned to the Tianwu world. Compared to a few years ago, this world hadn't changed much. Obviously, not long after he left, the development of this world had encountered obstacles. Zi Qin stood in the sky above the Tianwu continent. After scanning the surroundings with his spiritual sense, he returned to the core tree city. "Zhou Lina." Zi Qin appeared outside Zhou Lina's room. Zhou Lina, who was frowning, looked up when she heard the voice. Her expression changed. Chapter 34:28. Seeing Zi Qin walk in, Zhou Lina's eyes lit up and she called out happily, "My lord!" After Zi Qin entered the room, he looked at the haggard Zhou Lina and asked, "Have you been wronged?" Zhou Lina was a little surprised. She shook her head and said, "No, I knew that my lord would be fine." Zichen asked, "What about Leylon? Didn't I tell you to ask her for help?" After Lord Leylon found out about this, she personally took charge of the Tianwu world. But a few months later, the higher-ups sent her a mission, so she had no choice but to leave. Zhou Lina poured Zichen a cup of water. Zichen took the cup and sat down. He said in surprise, "She didn't come back for a mission for 10 years. Zhou Lina sat opposite Zichen. "Lord Leylon knows about her situation. I believe that she will come here as soon as she comes back. But she hasn't come yet. She must have not returned from the mission. By the way, what was your mission? It actually took you 10 years to complete?" Zichen said, "I was set up and trapped in a place for 10 years. Zhou Lina asked in surprise, who would be so bold as to set up a core disciple of the sacred Thunder region? Zichen shook his head and said, "It's not good to jump to conclusions." Although he said so, Zichen felt that this matter was related to the 2 clans that had a grudge against him. But this matter was so important that even the spirit ancestor could not come to a conclusion. Zichen naturally had to be cautious. Zichen then asked about what had happened in the past 10 years. Zhou Lina said, "Many clans intended to cooperate with us. Some of them are watching, and some have already left. When some negative news about you came, the number of people watching also decreased." Zichen asked, "What about the Jella clan?" Zhou Lina said, "They are still cooperating with us, but because of the transmission array, progress is slow." Zichen nodded. He had nothing to say to the Jella family, and it was even more impossible for him to blame them. Although the other party had the power to solve the problem of the teleportation portal, and could even do so with a single word, the other party clearly had no obligation to help him. Both sides were just cooperating, and their relationship wasn't so good that they could help each other selflessly. This was a deal, but it was also a benefit. Zichen could tell the difference. Zhou Lina smiled and said, "Now that you're back, I believe that all the problems will be solved." Zichen said, "I will ask on high to give an explanation for this matter." Zichen was not worried about handing the world over to Zhou Lina. She was very experienced. Just as he walked out of Zhou Lina's room, the teleportation array in the Gone High Sanctuary had already been repaired. The first batch of people were teleported to the core city. The efficiency could be said to be extremely fast. Among them, there was a special team that went straight to the place where the manager was. "The law enforcement team is here. They want you to go over, sir." A moment later, Zhou Lina came to look for Zichen. "Law enforcement team? What do they do?" Zichen asked in confusion. Zhou Lina explained, "They are in charge of the order of the Holy Thunder Clan. They have great power in the Holy Thunder region." When Zichen heard this, he became more and more puzzled. Why did the law enforcement team come to look for him all of a sudden? However, since his world was going to develop in the periphery, he naturally had to abide by the rules here. So he decided to go and take a look. The law enforcement captain who came was actually a holy spirit, which surprised Zichen a little. "You are the master of the Tianwu world." The law enforcement captain looked at Zichen. Zichen nodded and said, "This is my world." The law enforcement captain said, "Then that's right. Come with us." Zichen asked, "What's the matter?" "You will know when you get there." The other party's attitude couldn't be said to be good, but they didn't deliberately target him either. It was completely their usual personality. From this, one could see the status of the law enforcement team in the outer region. Zichen decided to go and take a look. He also needed an explanation regarding the matter of the Gone High Sacred region. He followed the law enforcement team and left. Along the way, the two sides didn't have much interaction. The members of the law enforcement team, even if they were in the spirit ascension realm, were all very arrogant. After teleporting again and again, they arrived at an unknown sacred region. The law enforcement team brought Zi Qin into a huge high-rise building. Those Spirit Ascension Realm cultivators all stayed outside. The one-star Holy Spirit Captain brought Zi Qin in. The first floor was a hall. It was spacious and huge, and the decorations were very luxurious. After Zi Qin entered, he saw that there were already several people here. Among them was Gan Hai, who he had injured earlier. "Lord, Zi Qin has been brought here." The one-star Holy Spirit cupped his fists. This hall was like an interrogation hall. A middle-aged man sat at the top. He glanced at Zi Qin and said coldly, "Zi Qin, do you know your crime?" Zi Qin raised his head and looked at the other party. He raised his eyebrows slightly. "What crime?" The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, "You ignored the rules of the Holy Thunder region and secretly attacked Ganhai's sacred region. Ganhai advised you, but you didn't listen. You actually injured him." Zi Qin was slightly startled. He looked back at Ganhai and asked, "Is that so?" Ganhai ignored Zi Qin. Instead, he cupped his fists at the middle-aged man and said, "Lord is wise. This Zi Qin is really arrogant. At that time, I advised him to abide by the rules. I didn't expect him to directly launch a sneak attack. In addition, he deliberately damaged one of my properties, causing me to suffer heavy losses. I hope that Lord will seek justice for me." The middle-aged man said in a deep voice, "Zi Qin, do you have anything else to say?" Zi Qin said, "He blocked the transmission array to my world for 10 years. The middle-aged man snorted coldly and said, "Cut the crap. I just want to ask you, do you know your crime?" Zi Qin, who had encountered countless similar incidents along the way, quickly understood what the other party meant. It seemed that darkness was really everywhere. He was schemed against when he was on a mission in the core city. This matter hadn't been resolved yet, but he didn't expect that he would be attacked again in the outer region. No matter whether someone instigated this time or not, he had encountered the dark side. Reason. His countless experiences told him that it was useless. Zi Qin looked at the middle-aged man and said, "Fair and just!" The middle-aged man shouted, "How dare you! You attacked without permission, destroyed the building, and injured Ganhai. If I don't punish you, how can the Holy Thunder Clan be fair and just?" There was a touch of coldness in the hall. Many cold gazes fell on Zi Qin. Perceiving these malicious gazes, Zi Qin said indifferently, "It seems that you think this matter is handled properly." The middle-aged man said coldly, "Fair and just, of course it's proper." Zi Qin suddenly laughed. "This is interesting. I beat the core disciples like dogs in the core city, but I didn't expect to be bullied in the outer region." The middle-aged man raised his eyebrows slightly. Zi Qin said, "I don't know who instigated this, but let me give you a piece of advice. Don't invite trouble to yourself." The expressions of the people around immediately became ugly. The middle-aged man shouted coldly, "Are you threatening us?" "I'm reminding you out of kindness. As for whether you listen or not, it's up to you." Zi Qin looked back at Ganhai. "I don't know what relationship you have with this guy, but before you deem me guilty, you'd better help me solve the problem of the transmission array not being opened for 10 years. Otherwise, I'm not done with you." With that, Zi Qin turned and walked outside. Before he left, Zi Qin took out an item and threw it behind him. "If this thing is useless in the Holy Thunder Clan, please throw it away for me." Chapter 30:429. Zi Qin had already left the hall. When the middle-aged man saw the core token, his expression immediately changed, and he looked at Ganhai. "Ganhai, what is the meaning of this?" The middle-aged man asked in a deep voice. He didn't know that Zi Qin was a core disciple. Ganhai smiled faintly and said, "Brother Wu-Lu, don't be impatient, as long as we're in the right. So what if he's a core disciple or a core elder?" Wu-Lu said, "Right? You stopped him from using the transmission array for 10 years. You call that right?" Ganhai smiled and said, "You don't need to care about this. Just punish him for attacking." Wu-Lu looked to the side. there were still a few people standing there. They were all his colleagues, but their positions were lower than his. One of them said, "I didn't expect this Zichen to be a core disciple." However, he was indeed wrong in this matter. It has nothing to do with whether he's a core disciple or not. If we let him go just like that, our reputation will definitely be damaged. That's right. Once this spreads, people will definitely think that our enforcement team is afraid of core disciples. Another person said, "Our enforcement team and their core disciples have always minded their own business. No matter how lawless they are in the core area, they can't come to the outer area." Wu Lu waved his hand and said, "Let me think about it first. As for Zichen's punishment, we'll discuss it later." Everyone nodded and left one after another. After everyone left, Wu Li's expression gradually darkened. "What do you think about this matter?" Wu Lu suddenly asked. "It's obvious that Ganhai has been instructed to target this core disciple." A voice came from the darkness. "They want to use Milord's position to punish the other party, and some people on your side have been bribed." Wu Lu asked again, "What do you think I should do?" "If you participate, you'll definitely offend Zichen. As for how much benefits you'll get, it's hard to say. We'll have to pay the price of targeting Zichen, a core disciple. I think that before that, you should investigate what kind of price you'll have to pay." Hearing the voice in the dark, Wu Lu nodded. To be able to sit in this position, he naturally knew about the Holy Thunder Clan. If one wanted to become a core disciple, not only did they need to have potential, they also needed the power behind them. He had no idea who Zichen was. How did such a person become a core disciple? Right now, it was obvious that the two factions were fighting. At this time, choosing a side randomly would be fine if they were right, but what if they were wrong? The consequences were simply unimaginable. After pondering for a moment, Wu Lu said in a deep voice, "Since that's the case, you should investigate first. Find out who this Zichen is. Why did he build a city in the periphery? Could it be that the core area can't accommodate him?" Yes, the voice in the dark disappeared. Zichen returned to his own world with an ugly expression on his face. If this matter had happened in a core city, he could have solved it through a battle. Whoever was against him, he would beat them up until they no longer dared to play any tricks. However, there were many rules in the outer regions, which made him feel restricted. He couldn't fight either. Not to mention wasting his energy, it wasn't very useful. In fact, Zichen also knew that there must be other forces behind Ganhai. Otherwise, how could Ganhai dare to go against him, a core disciple? At this moment, Lina came to inform Zichen that the teleportation array had been activated normally. Yaheng from the GRA clan wanted to see him. Zichen thought for a moment and said, "Tell Yaheng that I just came back from a mission and am tired. Ask him to come back later." At this moment, Zichen was vexed. Naturally, he wouldn't see anyone. Lina nodded and left. Zichen wasn't in a hurry to return to the core city. He was thinking about who was targeting him. How should he resolve this situation? This was the first time he encountered something that couldn't be solved by force. After coming to the Holy Thunder region, he only offended two clans directly. One was the Hu clan, and the other was the Xian clan. Which clan was behind the previous mission? And which force was behind Ganhai? Suddenly, Zichen thought of the bloodline ancestor. After all, he had beaten up the bloodline ancestor twice. Was it instructed by him? But if it was instructed by the bloodline ancestor, why did the spirit ancestor protect him for 10 years? And as the old ancestor of the Holy Thunder clan, how noble was his status? Why would he be so bored to deal with him? Suddenly, Zichen thought of a solution and his eyes lit up. Although he didn't know which clan was targeting him, it must be related to these two clans. Outside, he couldn't do anything due to the rules. But in the core city, he could do a lot of things. After thinking of a solution, Zichen decided to go to the core city immediately. "Aren't you sabotaging?" "Then I'll let you see what sabotage is." If it's you who did it, then this is a lesson. Even if it's not you, it's a warning to others. Although he didn't have the core token, Zichen's identity was still there. It wasn't difficult to enter the core city. Then, Zichen went to find Grace. After seeing Zichen, she was very surprised. "You're finally back. It's been 10 years. If you didn't come back, I was really worried that something had happened to you." Zichen said, "I was lucky. I almost couldn't come back." Grace looked at Zichen in confusion. Zichen said, "I was schemed against and trapped in a place for 10 years. Grace's expression changed. Zichen said again, "I'm here to ask you for some information." "What information?" "Information about the core disciple quota of the Hu clan and the Xian clan. I want those who are below the 5th realm and currently live in the core city." "What do you want this information for?" Grace was more and more confused. "Although I don't know who is targeting me, it must be related to these 2 clans. I want them to pay a price. It can also serve as a warning to others." After all, Zichen's world needed to develop steadily. Therefore, he had to deal with this matter once and for all. If he suppressed those core disciples here until they couldn't raise their heads, it would be much easier for the outside world. At the very least, they wouldn't dare to attack his world. This wasn't difficult for Grace. After all, she was in charge of distributing resources and was very familiar with everyone. If Zichen could really bring some trouble to these 2 clans, it would be a good thing for the Grace clan. Soon, Zichen got the information and walked toward his first target. Chapter 3430. The Earth-ranked room was considered the lowest ranked room for the core disciples in the core city. Zichen stood outside room 106 and deliberately triggered the restriction. Previously, he had asked Grace and learned that Hule was here. "Who's outside?" An indifferent voice came from outside. Then, the door opened and Hule saw Zichen. His face immediately changed. "Do you dare to accept my challenge?" Zichen said loudly. Hule's face darkened. "Are you crazy?" Zichen raised his voice again. "Hule of the Hu clan, as a core disciple, do you dare to accept my challenge?" His voice was loud enough for many people to hear. As for the many core disciples, after hearing the word challenge, one by one they opened their doors and looked outside curiously. "You idiot, are you sick? Why should I fight with you?" Hule's face showed anger. "Ha ha! Hule of the Hu clan doesn't dare to accept my challenge. I know you're a 3-star, so I won't bully you. I'll only use my 2-star cultivation to fight with you. If you win, my Thunder-ranked room 23 will be yours. If you lose, I won't chase you out. You just have to give me half of your resources as a core disciple." Zichen laughed exaggeratedly. His voice became louder and attracted more people's attention. The city lord was always paying attention to the movements in the core city. At this moment, many people were gathering in one place. It was impossible not to be noticed. This Zichen hasn't returned for 10 years. What is he doing now that he's back? The city lord frowned. This little guy has some tricks up his sleeve. He deliberately angered Hule. Maybe it's related to the mission. The commander who was playing chess with the city lord said. The city lord said, "Now that you mention it, I remember that the spirit ancestor has returned. I heard that he sent people to investigate something." The commander smiled. "Then we don't have to worry about it. Next, I want to see what this Zichen wants to do. 2-star against 3-star. The loser will get a Thunder-ranked room. This is a good deal. Isn't that so? Furthermore, there's almost no price to pay. What are those resources? How can they be compared to the permanent right to use the Thunder Room? Hule, you're in luck." Just as Hule's expression turned extremely ugly, the other core disciples around him started to speak with mocking expressions on their faces. They naturally knew about Zichen. Perhaps it could be said that in recent years, Zichen was definitely the one who received the most attention amongst the core disciples. Lei Di had directly used one of the slots to invite Hu Wei back. Furthermore, he had defeated Hu Wei in the first battle. If it weren't for the commander appearing in time, Hu Wei might have died then. The second battle was with Xian Qingye, a 2-star against a 3-star, and it was still a complete victory. Although they didn't know why Zichen, who had disappeared for a few years, wanted to challenge Hu Lei, they were happy to add fuel to the fire. Hearing the discussions around him, Hu Lei's expression turned even uglier. Zichen said, "What? You don't even dare to fight a 3-star against a 2-star? I say, aren't you a little too cowardly? Or is it that everyone in the Hu clan is like this?" "Shut up," Hu Lei angrily rebuked. Laughter rang out from the surroundings. The other core disciples naturally didn't mind watching the show. "You don't even dare to suppress him with a higher cultivation base. There's no one else in the Hu clan. Isn't that right? If this were to spread out, it would really be a disgrace to the Hu clan's old ancestor." What kind of person is the Hu clan's old ancestor? The Hu clan also has many powerful core disciples. I didn't expect this generation to be so cowardly. Listening to the deliberate ridicule, Hu Lei was burning with anger. However, if he were to fight against Zichen, he really didn't have the confidence to win. Zichen curled his lips. "How can there be such a cowardly trash like you in the sacred Thunder region? Speaking of which, how did you become a core disciple? Could it be that your Hu clan's people secretly took the back door and squeezed out other potential core disciples who should have become core disciples?" Although this kind of operation was known to everyone, saying it out loud was very hurtful. Hu Lei angrily rebuked, without hesitation, "Don't talk nonsense here. This kind of lousy provocation is useless against me. Don't you want to fight? I'll accompany you to the end." Zichen said, then it settled. "If you win, the Thunder Room will be yours. If you lose, half of your resources will be given to me." Hu Lei waved his hand and said, "No need. I only fight. I never bet with others." Boos came from all around. Zichen shook his head and said, "If that's the case, then I won't fight." Ah, Hu Lei was stunned. There was such a good thing. Zichen turned around and said, "I'll have to trouble friends to spread today's matter. A dignified core disciple of the Hu clan doesn't even dare to challenge. Brother Zichen, don't worry. This matter will spread throughout the sacred Thunder region in less than half a day." A voice immediately came from afar. "That's right. This time, the Hu clan has lost so much face. It has damaged the reputation of our Holy Thunder clan and even lost the face of our core disciples. This matter should be known by the world and remembered." Another person said, "The others were also very cooperative. They were all willing to make the Hu clan unhappy at this time. At the same time, they were establishing a preliminary relationship with Zichen." "Good. I'll fight you," Hu Lei said angrily. "If you want to bet, then bet big. I'll take out all my resources." "What else can you take out?" Boos came from the crowd again. A dignified Thunder Room was enough for those resources. Zichen said, "If you win, I'll give you whatever you want, even if it's Thunder Leave." Hu Lei's eyes lit up. "Really?" Zichen said with a smile, "I guarantee in the name of Thunder Earth Saint. If I don't keep my word, then I'll have Thunder Earth Saint personally go to the Hu clan to apologize." When the surrounding core disciples heard this, their faces all changed. At this moment, the way they looked at Zichen changed. In the City Lord's mansion, the City Lord smiled and said, "Looks like this little guy is familiar with this." The commander nodded and said, "He probably feels the pressure, or maybe he wants to save some trouble." Zichen's words were completely borrowing the momentum. In the eyes of the outer region, it might be useless. But in the eyes of these core disciples, it was obviously different. When Grace heard this, her expression also changed. At this moment, for the first time, she felt some dissatisfaction with the way her family acted. Because once Zichen borrowed the momentum of Thunder Earth Saint, there would be many forces that would want to extend an olive branch. Grace was very clear that Zichen really wanted to do something in the Thunder clan this time. And in this case, Zichen would come in contact with many forces. The original advantage of the Jella family to contact Zichen first would be gone. Hulei was deliberately provoked by Zichen. He had no choice but to accept the challenge. He even took out all the resources that he had distributed to the core disciples this time. After the battle was approved, it began. The space where the two were was separated. All the core disciples stood outside the space to watch the battle. The battle began. Hulei shouted and launched a powerful attack. Facing Zichen, he didn't dare to be the slightest bit careless. Countless lightning forces surged and thunder rumbled, dazzling and dazzling. Golden light pierced through the lightning. That was Zichen's power. After about 10 breaths of time, Zichen, who had used 2 stars of strength, knocked Hulei to the ground and ended the battle. Standing in front of the fallen Hulei, Zichen stretched out his hand and said, "Give it to me." Hulei's face was depressed and annoyed. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have opened the door. Chapter 34-31. As Zichen's voice fell, the core disciples all turned their heads and looked at a young man. At this moment, the other party's face was full of ridicule, but as everyone looked at him, the smile on his face froze. At this moment, he had a bad feeling in his heart. Zichen's gaze followed everyone's gaze and fell on the young man. "You are Xianming? I challenge you to a 2-star fight against a 3-star. Xianming, An's face immediately turned cold. "Why should I accept your challenge?" In fact, at this moment, he had the urge to turn around and leave, but he stayed for the sake of his face. Zichen said, "Are you afraid? Then I won't embarrass you. Now go to the outer region and tell the world that the Xian family is a coward." Xianming, An's eyes flashed with killing intent. "Zichen, you are courting death." Zichen said coldly, "Whether I am courting death or not, we will know in a battle." The others around were interested, so they deliberately ridiculed him again. Xianming, and clearly knew that this was a provocation, but he had to agree because the reputation of the family must be maintained and could not be trampled on by others. Therefore, Xianming, and who had just given out the resources and hadn't refined them, lost them to Zichen just like that. After winning, Zichen looked at the third name and said, "Is Huyi here?" A 3-star Holy Spirit, who was about to escape, was quickly blocked by the crowd. When Huyi was blocked, a few people in the crowd left quietly, because many people had already seen that Zichen seemed to be deliberately targeting these 2 families, and the people on the list might be from those 2 families. As a result, Huyi also lost the resources. Immediately afterward, Zichen read the name of the 4th person, but the other party was obviously not there. Someone told him that he was there just now, but he ran away. Therefore, they were very enthusiastic to take Zichen to the room of the 4th person. However, no matter how Zichen targeted him, the person from the Xian family didn't respond at all. Obviously, this 3-star Holy Spirit was avoiding the battle, but it could also be said that he was in seclusion and couldn't hear the sound outside. Next was the 5th and 6th. It was still the same. Standing outside the 6th person's room, Zichen shook his head and said, "This is really boring. I thought that the core disciples of aristocratic families were all people with backbone. I didn't expect that they were all rats." Sounds of agreement could be heard from all around. Everyone had witnessed Zichen's battle prowess. Despite fighting above his level, he still won with ease. Moreover, he had Saint Venerable Thunder Earth behind him. Compared to other family forces, Saint Venerable Thunder Earth was naturally stronger. Brother Zichen is right. The disciples of the Hu and Xian families are truly unable to withstand a single blow. They've really lost face for our sacred Lightning Clan. A young man walked over and cupped his fists. I'm Pei Winyao from the Pei clan. I'm very excited to see brother Zi Chen's prowess today. Why don't we go for a drink? The expressions of some of the core disciples in the crowd changed slightly when they saw Pei Winyao. The Pei clan he was from was not weaker than the Hu and Xian families. They had a deep foundation and many experts. Pei Winyao's reputation was also not small. While many people were shocked, they also felt incomparably angry. In this kind of situation where they were on good terms with Zichen, they should have expressed their attitude earlier. However, it wasn't too late now. Immediately, some people expressed their attitude and walked forward. These people were naturally not afraid of the Hu and Xian families, and they even had some conflicts with them. At this moment, they wanted to use this opportunity to get closer to Zichen. During this time, the words they said were naturally to suppress the two families. Humph, you're courting death. At this moment, a cold snort suddenly sounded, followed by a cold chill that swept over from not far away. Sensing this chill, everyone turned their heads and saw a person appear there. Xiancheng. Seeing that person, many people cried out. They didn't expect that person to be in the core city. Do you really think that you're invincible just because you defeated a few people? Xiancheng walked over, releasing a strong aura that brought a lot of pressure to the people. Zi Chen looked at Xiancheng, then took out the list and looked at it. His eyes immediately lit up. You're on the list too. I was going to look for you in a few days, but I didn't expect you to take the initiative to come forward and be slapped in the face. After hearing Zi Chen's words, the others' expressions changed. Pei Winyao, who spoke first, reminded him through voice transmission, Brother Zi Chen, don't be careless. This Xiancheng is a 4-star divine spirit. A smile appeared on the corners of Zi Chen's mouth as he said, Do you dare to fight with me? If you win, the Thunder Room is yours. If you lose, you have to give me a 4th grade spiritual talisman. The 4th grade spiritual talisman was also called the 4th grade Holy Thunder Talisman. It was unique to the Thunder Clan and could only be condensed by high-level divine spirits. It was extremely expensive. Last time, when Zichen fought with Hu Wei took out a 3rd grade talisman when he was defeated. The price of the 2 talismans was not equal. The Thunder Room was definitely one of the top resources in the sacred Thunder territory. Okay. Xiancheng agreed immediately, obviously thinking that he would definitely win. The crowd dispersed, and an independent battle space opened up. Zichen released the aura of a 2-star divine spirit. Exclamations came from the crowd. Was Zichen going to fight a 4-star divine spirit with a 2-star divine spirit? Xiancheng, on the other hand, smiled complacently and flew toward Zichen. Before he could get close to Zichen, a strong aura surged out of Zichen's body again. It was 2 thunderballs revolving around Zichen's body. The people outside were all core disciples and were members of the Holy Thunder Clan. They were very familiar with all the techniques of the Thunder Clan. When they saw the 2 thunderballs of holy power, they exclaimed loudly and were shocked. Holy power manifestation. It's actually holy power manifestation. This is the holy power cultivated after the physical body has reached its limit. Has Zichen's physical body reached its limit? In our Thunder Clan, there are not many physical techniques that can condense holy power. I wonder which one Zichen has mastered. The people exclaimed with envy in their eyes. No matter what kind of technique it would definitely be top-notch. Even their family might not have such top-notch techniques. Zichen, who was a 2-star divine spirit and had a 2-star divine spirit body, might be able to fight Xiancheng, who was a 4-star. Looking at the shocked Xiancheng, Zichen smiled coldly and said, Let's begin. Zichen rushed forward and punched out with his clenched fist. Holy thunder explosion. This was a punch that reached its limit and was full of power. The 2 thunderballs of holy power merged into the fist, making the surface of the fist shine brightly. At the same time, the Holy Spirit power in Zi Chen's body also merged into the fist. The strong aura spread, and the sealed space began to distort. Chapter 34-32. Zi Chen's punch was like a huge wave that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Xiancheng, who felt the terrifying aura, began to mobilize the power of the 4-star sacred spirit around him. But unlike what everyone had imagined, he was not attacking but defending. Sacred lightning shield. Countless streams of sacred spirit power gathered in front of him and then turned into a solid shield. Countless lightning flashed on the shield, and the word lightning was engraved in the center. This was the defensive technique of the Holy Thunder Clan, which Zi Qin had not mastered. His fist was blocked by the sacred shield. With a boom, the fist light exploded. Dazzling light bloomed, and the terrifying lightning drowned the sacred shield. Deafening booms sounded continuously. Under the impact of the terrifying energy, Xiancheng began to retreat. Cracks appeared on the sacred shield in front of him. After retreating more than 10 feet, the sacred shield exploded with a boom. The powerful force once again forced Xiancheng to retreat. At this moment, he noticed something strange from the corner of his eye. His figure swayed, leaving an afterimage where he was. With a swoosh, the afterimage was split into 2. Zi Qin, who wanted to use the back of his saber to stun his opponent, missed. At this moment, Zi Qin felt a dangerous gust of wind coming from behind him, and immediately used the 9 flash of holy thunder. Zi Qin disappeared in an instant. A bolt of lightning flashed past Zi Qin's back. Whoosh! Whoosh! At this moment, the 9 flash of holy thunder collided with the 9 flash of holy thunder. The 2-star Zi Qin was fighting the 4-star Xiancheng. This battle was not like the previous one, which ended quickly. Despite the difference of 2 realms, the battle strength of the 2 was actually evenly matched. Everyone was shocked. With the battle strength that Zi Qin displayed, he was definitely one of the best among the core disciples. He was vaguely comparable to those terrifying existences. Fortunately, Brother Zi Qin is only at the 2-star realm. If he was at the 3-star realm, Xiancheng would probably cry for his parents. Outside the battle space, Pei Wenyao said with a smile. The sarcasm in his words could not be more obvious. A burst of laughter came from the crowd. That's not true. Realms are always the most fundamental existence. There aren't so many hypothetical existences. Zi Qin is only at the 2-star realm, which only proves that his strength is insufficient. Someone else in the crowd spoke up. It was obvious that they were on good terms with Xiancheng. Pei Wenyao smiled faintly and said, "At this point I can only say so. Otherwise, wouldn't it be embarrassing?" Quite a few people laughed out loud in tandem. The person who spoke for Xiancheng also didn't want to be outdone. Usually, only people who don't have any strength will make assumptions. While they were arguing outside, Xiancheng couldn't take down Zi Qin after a long time. He couldn't help but show anger on his face. Holy Thunder Sword. He formed a hand seal and pointed at the sky. The void distorted as a lightning sword that seemed to have come from beyond the heavens descended from the heavens, bringing with it a tyrannical aura. This was the famous and powerful technique of the Holy Thunder Clan. Zi Qin, who felt the pressure, immediately unsheathed the demonic saber that had never been unsheathed. The saber light rose against the sky and collided with the lightning sword. With a boom, it exploded. The moment the lightning sword was destroyed, Xiancheng's hand seal changed again. The sky shook, and another palm fell from the sky. The demonic saber that had just been sheathed was unsheathed again. In the space of the battlefield, the roaring sounds continued. The 2 of them fought back and forth, engaged in a fierce battle. If the difference in realms between the 2 wasn't taken into account, then this battle could be said to be brilliant beyond compare. Zi Qin displayed powerful combat strength, while Xiancheng displayed the standard of a 4-star core disciple. All kinds of Thunder Clan battle techniques emerged one after another, and their comprehension was extremely profound. Just from the number of battle techniques, Xiancheng's comprehension was much greater than that of Zichen's. However, if realms were taken into account in this brilliant battle, it would be awkward no matter how one looked at it. A 4-star core disciple of the Holy Thunder Clan actually couldn't defeat a 2-star Zichen. It seems that they have to wait for both sides to exhaust their strength. Someone looked at this evenly matched battle and made such a conclusion. Exhaust their strength? Don't joke. Xiancheng is a 4-star. In terms of strength, he's several times stronger than Zichen. Even if Zichen exhausts his strength twice, he can forget about exhausting Xiancheng's strength. Yang Yong, who had been speaking up for Xiancheng, said again. Although Yang Yong's words were unpleasant, one had to admit that it was common sense. Under normal circumstances, a 2-star strength was far from a 4-star's. Therefore, no one refuted him. At this moment, Zichen suddenly said, "All right, it's time to end it." As his voice fell, he rushed forward. His whole body glowed as he mobilized his strongest strength. Xiancheng also shouted angrily and gathered all his strength for the final attack. Yang Yong looked at Zichen and said disdainfully, "Mobilizing your full strength like this will only make you lose faster. This kind of idiotic fighting style is only suitable for bullying those of a lower level." You speak as if Xiancheng didn't bully anyone. Pei Wenyao smiled disdainfully. Besides, it's not certain who will win. As they spoke, the two of them made contact. Zichen's eyes flashed. Eye of destruction. Xiancheng's attack was disorderly for a moment, as if there was a flaw. He unsheathed his demonic saber and rushed forward. Swoosh! Xiancheng's attack dissipated instantly. The saber light landed on his body, and his defense distorted several times before collapsing. The next moment, he coughed up blood and flew backward. The unforeseen event that occurred in an instant caused everyone to be stunned. They didn't understand exactly what was going on. Looking at Xiancheng again, there was an extremely deep saber mark on his body. He was severely injured. How is this possible? Yang Yong, who had been looking down on Zichen and even deliberately mocking Zichen, was stunned. Zichen stood there, looked at Xiancheng and said indifferently, "You lost!" Xiancheng stood up, his face ashen. His gaze moved away from Zichen and looked at the outside world. He saw a lot of mockery, and anger immediately burned in his heart. "No, I didn't lose." He shouted loudly, his eyes filled with resentment. Zichen frowned slightly. "You can't afford to lose?" "I didn't lose. How can you say that I lost?" Xiancheng, who was bleeding, took a step forward. His body swayed and he almost fell. "You said you didn't lose? Are you saying you'll only lose if you die?" Zichen's voice turned cold. Whoosh! A talisman appeared in Xiancheng's hand. It was the Holy Thunder Talisman, for lines of light flickered on it, constantly creating ripples. It's a 4th grade Holy Thunder Talisman. Seeing this scene, cries of alarm could be heard from the crowd. When Zichen saw the 4th grade Holy Thunder Talisman, a cold, murderous intent flashed in his eyes. "What are you trying to do? It's not too late to say that I lost if you can block its attack." Xiancheng said coldly. A 4th grade Holy Thunder Talisman could only be condensed by a 6-star sacred spirit. The attack contained in it was life-threatening to a 4-star sacred spirit. Once Xiancheng activated the Holy Thunder Talisman, the 2-star Zichen would definitely die. Reprimands came from the crowd. Zichen said coldly, "Since you can't afford to lose, don't blame me for being rude. I don't want the same thing to happen a 3rd time." Zichen took a step forward, and the originally weak aura on his body became stronger once again. Chapter 34-33. Zichen, who who had unleashed the full power of 3 stars, truly had the intention to kill. Boundless killing intent surged wildly towards the injured Xiancheng. Xiancheng couldn't help but shudder when he felt the killing intent. He, who had lost his mind earlier, gradually regained his senses. Outside the battlefield, cries of surprise could be heard. The 2-star Ziqin had actually become a 3-star. Everyone knew that Ziqin hadn't been in the Holy Thunder clan for long. Many people hadn't even broken through to the 1-star realm, but Ziqin had actually gone from 1-star to 3-star. Ziqin could heavily injure Xiancheng with just 2-star power. Once he used 3-star power, Xiancheng would definitely die. Enough! Suddenly, a cold voice came from the sky. The Grand Commander appeared. He looked at Xiancheng and said coldly, "Don't you think it's embarrassing enough?" Xiancheng lowered his head. He didn't dare to activate the 4th grade Holy Thunder Talisman in his hand. The surging aura around Ziqin retracted as he walked towards Xiancheng. When he was in front of Xiancheng, Ziqin stretched out his hand and said indifferently, "Hand it over!" Xiancheng's face was gloomy, but he didn't dare to flare up. Ziqin snatched the 4th grade Holy Thunder Talisman and said, "Becoming a core disciple is important, but what's more important is one's character. The Hu clan and Xian clan are so despicable even in a battle in front of everyone. How dark are your actions behind the scenes? No wonder your 2 clans have trash who don't dare to accept the challenge. So what if you obtain the core disciple position through shady means? So what if you have countless resources? Trash will always be trash." Ziqin turned around and looked at the crowd. "I'll have to trouble you all to help me pass the message. In the coming days, I will frequently spar with the Xian and Hu clans in a friendly manner, based on the principle of not doing things more than 3 times. I guarantee that I will end your lives before you have any evil intentions." "Great!" Cheers immediately came from the crowd. Pei Wenyao looked at Yang Yong and said, "You didn't like Ziqin earlier. Why don't you go challenge him now?" Yang Yong coldly snorted, turned around and left. He was really afraid that Ziqin would pester him. Not only would he lose face, but his family's reputation would also be damaged. Take this incident as an example. The Hu and Xian clans would become laughingstocks for a long time to come. After the battle ended, Ziqin left the battlefield. He didn't express any gratitude for the appearance of the Grand Commander, because the other party was here to save Xiancheng, not him. If they really wanted to stop him, they would have appeared a long time ago, and not after he revealed his 3-star strength. Ziqin walked out of the battlefield and said to the crowd, "Today's harvest is not small. Thank you for your support. If you have time, let's go for a drink?" "That's exactly what I was thinking." Pei Wenyao smiled and walked over. "Brother Ziqin showed us a very exciting battle today. How can we let you spend money? Let me be the host." Following that, many people walked forward. Grace stood behind the crowd and looked at Ziqin, who was like the moon surrounded by stars. "My lord, I didn't get any information." A voice suddenly sounded in Wu Li's room. "How is that possible?" Wu Lu was stunned and felt that it was very unbelievable. With his intelligence network, he couldn't get any information about Ziqin. He stood up and looked behind him. A black-robed man appeared and said respectfully, "Information about Ziqin seems to have been deliberately blocked. No one knows how he joined the core forces, and why Gon Hai dared to target a core disciple, and who ordered him to do so." Wu Li's expression became serious. "If we use special channels, we should be able to find some clues." The black-robed man nodded and said, "The matter is urgent. Without asking for your permission, I used those channels and found out something unbelievable." "What is it?" Wu Lu asked. "When Ziqin went to Luo City, he took a Holy Venerate token." "What?" Hearing the black-robed man's words, Wu Li's expression changed drastically. "Holy Venerate? Holy Venerate tokens were people who held real power in the sacred Thunder region, and they were absolute powerhouses. In the sacred Thunder region, there were only a few Holy Venerates. How did Ziqin get his Holy Venerate token? Wu Lu looked at the core token in his hand again and felt that it was extremely troublesome. What do you think? Wu Lu looked at the black-robed man. The black-robed man said, "My lord, don't you know the core disciples? I think it's necessary to find out about this through them. Core disciples should know each other very well." You think it's necessary? Whether it's necessary or not, we'll know when my lord brings back the news. In the outer region, in a private room of a restaurant, Pei Wenyao looked at Wu Lu and asked curiously, "It's rare for you to come looking for me. What's the matter?" Wu Lu said, "I want to find out about someone from you. I thought you were still in the core city and would take some time to come back." Pei Wenyao smiled and said, "What a coincidence. I have something to do. Tell me, who are you looking for?" Wu Lu asked, "Do you know that there's a core disciple called Ziqin?" Ziqin. Pei Wenyao was slightly stunned. "Why are you looking for him? You know him." Wu Lu was very surprised. After all, there were many core disciples in the Holy Thunder clan. It was impossible for everyone to know him. Wu Lu smiled and said, "Now in the core city, there aren't many who don't know Ziqin. I came back this time because Ziqin made a big commotion in the core city." "What commotion?" Wu Lu asked. "He blocked all the core disciples below 4-star from the Hu and Xian clans in their rooms. They didn't dare to come out at all." Speaking of this matter, Pei Wenyao could not hide the smile on his face. These days, the two families had really become a big joke. Who is he exactly? How dare he offend two big clans at the same time? Wu Li's expression became solemn. No one knows. He was brought back by the Holy Venerate Lady. He got the core disciple spot without going through any assessment. Wu Li's expression changed drastically. The title of the Holy Venerate was enough to make him lose his mind. "Can you tell me more about Ziqin?" Wu Li's voice was trembling. Very quickly, he found out about Ziqin from Pei Wenyao, causing his expression to turn incomparably ugly. These things weren't considered secrets to the core disciples. However, to the people from the outer region, it was a secret. Ganhai dared to go against Ziqin, other than the fact that he had the support of other forces. The bigger reason was that he didn't know anything about Ziqin. Pei Wenyao left. Wu Lu stood up. His expression was still ugly, and there was still fear in his heart. He had wasted a favor, but in exchange for information about Ziqin, indirectly saving his life. It was really worth it. Chapter 34-34. Ziqin played with the core disciple token in his hand and looked at Wu Lu. The token emitted a faint lightning glow. This token represented the supreme status of the Holy Thunder clan. Wu Lu stood there with his head lowered. He didn't dare to look at Ziqin. At this moment, he didn't know how many times he had scolded Ganhai in his heart. This guy was courting death. Not only did he offend Ziqin, he even wanted to drag him down with him. Luckily, he restrained himself last time and didn't cause a disaster. Otherwise, the consequences would be unimaginable. The matter has been investigated. Ganhai disregarded the rules and forcefully obstructed the development of the Tianwu world. He has already violated the rules of the Holy Thunder clan. Wu Li's head was still lowered. He said apologetically, "I misunderstood you last time. I hope you can forgive me and not be calculative with me." Ziqin didn't know why Wu Li's attitude had changed. However, he really couldn't do anything about Wu Lu. He was a core disciple and had great authority. However, he couldn't interfere with the management of the outer region. If Wu Lu didn't cooperate and wanted to punish him, he couldn't do anything. Of course, if Ziqin went all out as a core disciple, he wouldn't be afraid of anyone. However, if that happened, it would obviously be disadvantageous to the development of his world. Zichen nodded and said, "Since the truth has been found out, I'll have to trouble you to do things impartially." Of course, of course. Wu Lu nodded repeatedly. Although he was a 5-star Holy Spirit and had a high status in this region, if he didn't have other opportunities, 5-star was the limit. As for Zichen, he still had great potential in the future. Pei Wenyao didn't brush him off. That favor was worth it. Pei Wenyao told him almost everything he knew about Zichen. In the end, Pei Wenyao said, "Everyone is discussing that Zichen might become an extreme core disciple in the future." For most people in the Holy Thunder Clan, the extreme core disciple was an unfamiliar term. They only knew that the core disciple had great authority and a noble status. However, Wu Lu knew very well what the extreme core disciple meant. In the entire Holy Thunder region, there are almost no core disciples in the outer region. As their realm increased, they would gradually change the world. As for the extreme core, there was not a single one. It was also because of Pei Wenyao's last words that Wu Lu finally made up his mind. Wu Li's respect was out of Zichen's expectations. This would save him a lot of time and avoid a lot of trouble. After a simple conversation, Wu Lu took his leave. Since he was not going to deal with Zichen, he had to deal with the teleportation array. This matter wasn't a big deal, but it wasn't a small one either. If things were handled according to the rules, then it would be easy to resolve. Gan Hai was guilty and had to be punished. But now, Gan Hai had the help of other forces. Although Wu Lu didn't know which force it was definitely a powerful force that could at least contend with Zichen. What should we do now? Wu Lu frowned and pondered. The voice in the dark suddenly said, "Gan Hai is naturally at fault here, but Zichen has also violated the rules. In a situation where both sides are at fault, there is no need to completely offend one of them. I think we should call Gan Hai over and give him some appropriate punishment and compensation. That way he won't be hurt too badly." Wu Lu nodded. In fact, he had planned to do so. When he went to see Zichen today, the other party seemed to only want an explanation. His words didn't seem to have any intention of killing Gan Hai. Moreover, he had investigated and found that Gan Hai Sanctuary lost at least 10 years of income from that slash. Someone go call Gan Hai over. Wu Lu made up his mind. Soon, Gan Hai came to the hall and said to Wu Lu, "Wu Lu, it seems that you have thought it through." Wu Lu frowned slightly. Some people followed in. They were the people who spoke for Gan Hai a few days ago. They were also Wu Li's subordinates. This matter needs to be discussed carefully. We must give Zichen a reasonable punishment. Seeing Wu Lu frown, one of them immediately said, "That's right. Zichen is really too arrogant this time. If he is not punished, who will abide by the rules of the Outland in the future?" Someone else spoke. "Punish Zichen?" Wu Lu looked at them. "Who told you to punish Zichen?" They were all stunned. The person who spoke first said, "Zichen broke the rules. If we don't punish Zichen, are we going to punish Gan Hai, who lost a lot?" "Yes, sir. If this matter is not handled well, it will greatly affect the reputation of the Outland." Hearing their words, Gan Hai's face gradually turned ugly. Gan Hai said in a low voice, "Wu Lu, what do you mean?" Wu Li's gaze quickly swept across them. He looked at Gan Hai and said in a low voice, "I have investigated this matter. Gan Hai, you were the one who first blocked the teleportation formation to Zichen's world for 10 years. Zichen attacked you because you ordered your subordinates to deliberately destroy the teleportation formation and slander Zichen. If we really want to investigate, this matter is your responsibility." The others were stunned. They didn't expect Wu Lu to say this. Obviously, he was standing on Zichen's side. "I say, Wu Lu, are you stupid?" Gan Hai stared at Wu Lu and said unhappily, "Is your brain damaged? You dare to punish me. Do you know the consequences? Do you still want to be in this position?" Wu Li's face turned cold. Are you threatening me? Sir, please reconsider. Yes, sir. This matter is obviously Zichen's fault. The people standing on both sides tried to persuade him. Wu Lu waved his hand and said, "This matter has been decided. Ganhai is guilty. As for the crime, I couldn't tell." Wu Lu, you are really an idiot. Ganhai looked at Wu Lu and said disdainfully, "Since you don't know what's good for you, don't blame me for not playing with you. You can forget about staying in this position from now on." Ganhai turned and walked out confidently. Do you really think you are so great? Do you think you are someone important? Now, you just have to wait patiently for your appointment to be removed. Ganhai, wait. The people who followed Ganhai glanced at Wu Lu and turned to chase after Ganhai. If Wu Lu was removed from his position, they would need to appoint another person. They felt that this was an opportunity. Wu Lu looked at the people who left and remained silent. After returning to his own world, Ganhai was still very proud. With a powerful backer behind him, he really didn't care about a mere Wu Lu. The reason why he went to look for him previously was to give Wu Lu a chance. He didn't expect that idiot to not cherish it. Ganhai, who was feeling proud in his room, didn't wait for the order to remove Wu Lu from his position. He waited for another piece of news. It was a crime. It was about him. It came from the core region. Chapter 34-35. What did you say? Ganhai's eyes were fixed on the person who had come. Are you King mistaken? I'm just a star area lord in the outer region. How could I kill a core disciple? The man from the core area said coldly, you colluded with the Julian force in the Wuju star area to kill core disciple Zichen. The evidence is conclusive. How can you deny it? Men, arrest him. Immediately, a member of the core law enforcement team stepped forward and grabbed Ganhai. There must be a mistake. There must be a mistake. I don't know Zichen. How could I kill him? Ganhai screamed in horror. You don't know him. How could you deliberately stop Zichen's world from developing for 10 years? The man's voice was cold. Ganhai wanted to say something, but he found that his voice was suppressed. He couldn't say a word. No, I'm innocent. I'm innocent. Ganhai's face immediately became ferocious. A powerful aura began to surge. He obviously couldn't be caught. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to explain himself. Ganhai was a 5-star divine spirit. He was extremely powerful. However, the moment his aura moved slightly, an even more powerful force appeared from the side and forcefully invaded Ganhai's body. Sensing this force, Ganhai's face showed a touch of horror. The bodyguard beside him, who looked like a subordinate, was actually a 6-star divine spirit? The terrified Ganhai's face showed despair. The news that Ganhai was taken away by the core area quickly spread in the Saint region. At the same time, his crimes were also spread. Many people were in an uproar because he plotted to kill a core disciple. Wu Lu, who received the news, let out a sigh. It seems that he was pushed out by those people as a scapegoat. At the same time, Wu Lu was very glad that he had used a favor to obtain all the information about Zichen. Otherwise, he would have suffered a great loss this time. As for those people who were bought by Ganhai, they were all on tenterhooks. They were afraid that someone would come to cause trouble. After all, they didn't have access to any information from the outside world, and they were utterly unaware of the relationship between Zichen and those powers. Yaheng still didn't see Zichen. He only communicated with Zhou Lina. Zhou Lina could clearly feel the change in Yaheng's attitude. Moreover, over the past few days, more and more forces had come. It was obvious that they wanted to build a good relationship with him. They were even willing to lose some benefits. Zichen had remained in the outer realm and had never returned to the core area. Naturally, the teleportation array had been working well for the past few days, and it hadn't broken down again. He already knew what had happened in the Ganhai sacred region. It seemed that this was the final result of the spirit ancestor's investigation. Although he knew that Ganhai was just a scapegoat, Zichen still felt that this was an explanation. He had even indirectly given him a huge gift. The teleportation array lit up, causing ripples to spread out. Grace walked out of the teleportation array. "Why are you here?" Seeing Grace standing outside the door, Zichen was a little surprised. Grace said, "Regarding your matter, the others deliberately avoided it, so I naturally came." "Oh, what's the matter?" Zichen gestured for Grace to sit first. "The results of the investigation are out. They want you to go back and see if you're satisfied with the results." Grace said, "Of course, it's just a process." Zichen nodded and said, "Now." "Yes." On the same day, the two returned to the core city. Grace led him into an interrogation hall. When they entered, there were still traces of blood on the ground that hadn't dried yet. Powerful fluctuations surged in the blood. That was sacred blood. Although it was useless to Zichen, to other low-level existences, this sacred blood was a supreme treasure. In fact, in some low-level worlds, the sacred blood might even undergo some sort of mutation, some sort of unimaginable change. Zichen, who was slightly absent-minded, suddenly thought of something. His eyes couldn't help but light up. This was a good thing for the development of the world. "This is the evidence we've obtained this time. Please take a look." A person in charge walked over with a booklet in his hand. On it was recorded the evidence of Ganhai and Insi's collusion. Zichen only took a rough look. How could a layman like him see the inside door? Moreover, he knew very well that Ganhai was just a scapegoat. Zichen handed the booklet to the person in charge and said, "What do you think of this matter?" The person in charge said, "Due to the great impact this matter has had on you after discussion, we've decided to leave Ganhai Sanctuary to you after executing him. All of Ganhai's properties will be yours." Zichen said, "After a person dies, can the world be left behind?" The person in charge nodded. "It's possible through a secret method." The matter was settled like this. Zichen didn't refuse. In fact, when he came over, he had already guessed that the other party would make such an arrangement. Ganhai's death was his own fault. Zichen wouldn't let him go just because he was a scapegoat. Moreover, in this matter, he didn't have the final say. Obviously, this was arranged by the spirit ancestor. He had to find the murderer, so the murderer had appeared. After returning to the Tianwu world, Zichen began to think about the development of the world. Previously, the idea that flashed through his mind was to sell things like sacred blood. If a city wanted to prosper, the most important thing wasn't the strong, but the gathering of low-level people. The more people there were, the more lively and prosperous it would be. Sacred blood was useless to him, but to low-level existences, it was really good stuff. Zichen was considering whether he should catch a few holy-level beasts and let them bleed here to attract people. 2 days later, Wu Lu of the law enforcement team invited Zichen to Ganhai Sanctuary to watch the execution of Ganhai, but Zichen refused. Colluding with other forces to kill a core disciple was a big deal in the sacred Thunder region. At the same time, it was also a big crime. Naturally, it couldn't be handled quietly. On the same day, Ganhai was executed and punished under the eyes of everyone. Zichen stayed in his room, thinking about how to strengthen the Tianwu world. Zhou Lina, who went to visit, walked into the room. Zichen looked up at her. Zhou Lina's face didn't look too good. "What happened?" Zichen asked. Zhou Lina hesitated for a moment and said, "Before Ganhai died, he cursed and said that he was wronged. How could he target a core disciple? He said that someone had taken a fancy to his star field and set up a trap to target him." Zichen smiled when he heard this. "What happened in the end?" Zhou Lina said, "The law enforcement team read out his crimes on the spot and then killed Ganhai." Zichen said, "In that case, Ganhai's words left some bad impressions." "More than some. A lot. Now, people outside are talking about whether Sir is really so cruel. Some people have even started to evacuate. Jolene said, according to preliminary estimates, Ganhai Sanctuary's popularity will lose at least 20% because of these words. Whether it was Jolene or Zichin, they were extremely shrewd people. Naturally, they could see the intention of this. There were still some people in the dark who didn't want him to smoothly obtain Ganhai Sanctuary. Now that nearly 20% of the popularity has been lost, there will inevitably be some people who will make some small moves, and the popularity will continue to decline. In the end, it would be very good if half of the popularity, or 40%, was left. Maybe this prosperous sanctuary will be completely ruined in a short time. This is another war. There is no smoke, no life and death, but it is more cruel and involves more interests. But so far, Zichin still doesn't know who the enemy is. I'm not good at this matter. Now I give you all the authority to deal with this matter. Zichin looked at Jolene and said, Do everything you can to maintain the popularity first. Or do you have any plans? Jolene said, I want to contact some of the forces in Ganhai Sanctuary first. As long as they don't make any big moves and don't make any small moves, the loss of popularity is only temporary. Zichin nodded and said, Okay, it's all up to you. Zichin walked out. Where is Sir going? Chapter 34-36. Lena didn't quite understand what Zichin meant. Why was he talking about ideals with some people with bad intentions? Was he trying to influence them? Lena dismissed the thought as soon as it appeared. She knew Zichin quite well. She could tell from Zichen's tone that someone was going to be in trouble. Zichin returned to the core city. He took out the name list and started to search house by house. His voice was very loud, and he purposely emitted sound waves. He almost disrupted the peace in the residential area. However, many core disciples didn't care. They could watch a good show and watch their opponents suffer. They were totally overjoyed. He searched all the way. Those 3-star Holy Spirits didn't even dare to open their doors. No matter how much Zichin mocked them, they all pretended to be in seclusion. After looking at the name list, Zichin was speechless. Looks like I can only look for 4-star Holy Spirits. However, he had already defeated a 4-star Holy Spirit last time. Everyone knew how powerful he was, but still no one responded to him. Hudeli, you're a 4-star Holy Spirit, but you don't dare to accept the challenge of a 3-star Holy Spirit. You're really a coward. How about this? I'll fight you with a 2-star Holy Spirit. Zichin stood outside Hudeli's room. His voice spread out. Some core disciples in the distance cooperated well and started to mock him. Seeing that there was no response from the room, Zichin said, You're really good at pretending. How about this? You can go back to your Hu clan and say that I, Zichin, will challenge all your 3-star and 4-star Holy Spirits. As long as you have the guts, you can come. If you lose, you'll get whatever you want. At the same time, Zichin also turned to look at the room in the distance. He said, And the one with the surname Xian. This will work on your Xian clan too. This was considered a great humiliation. However, no one responded. There were many cheering voices in the distance, but no one dared to express a different opinion. They were worried that Zichin would come back and look for them. They weren't the only ones who would be humiliated. Their clans would be humiliated too. Enough! How can you be like this? Suddenly, a cold voice came from afar. Zichin turned his head and said coldly, Where is the beast making such a ruckus? A man walked forward, his eyes flashing with killing intent. You're courting death. The other core disciples retreated one after another. Their eyes were filled with fear as they looked at the newcomer. Zichin looked at him. Who do you think you are? A tyrannical aura surged out from the other party and directly suppressed Zichin. A mocking smile appeared on Zichin's face. A 5-star Holy Spirit Do you dare to suppress your cultivation level to 3-star to fight me? If I don't torture you to death, I won't be Zichen. Of course, 4-star is fine too. According to Zichen's current strength, fighting a 4-star core disciple was already his limit. As for a 5-star core disciple, it was impossible for him to defeat one. Of course, after using the lightning controlling technique, it was hard to say. The 5-star Holy Spirit's expression did not look too good. He was not confident enough to fight Zichen while suppressing his cultivation level. However, it was obviously impossible for him to admit defeat just like that. He mocked. When did having a lower cultivation level become something to show off? Your cultivation level is low. You shouldn't blame others for having a higher cultivation level. Instead, you should ask yourself why your cultivation level is so low. Zichen didn't get angry when he heard that. Instead, he pondered seriously for a moment before nodding his head and saying, "What you said makes sense. I completely agree. Now, can you tell me which family you belong to? I want to share this principle with your family members as well." The other people in the distance could not help but roar with laughter. Their voices were very harsh. A cold killing intent flashed in the 5-star Holy Spirit's eyes. "You're courting death." Zichen was still smiling as he said, "When I reach the 4-star level, will you still dare to say these words?" It's true that having a higher cultivation level is a good thing. However, being a coward like you is a mistake in itself. Zichen continued, "I won't bully your family members. Anyone below 4-star is fine. Even if they're in the ascending spirit realm, I can suppress my cultivation level and fight them. Do you want to try?" Seeing the other party's changing expression, Zichen's indifferent voice suddenly became cold. "If you don't have the guts, then scram. Or should I say, wait until I reach 4-star before I kill you? Brat, it's easy to break. You'd better restrain yourself so you don't embarrass yourself." The other party snorted and turned to leave. "What, you want to run away? Can I trouble you all to tell me who this guy is and which family he's from?" Zichen's voice immediately rang out. "I want to talk to his family about what's easy to break. He's Reynold from the Renault family." Reynold, who was leaving, staggered when he heard this voice. At this moment, he was already feeling a little regretful. If he had known this would happen, he would not have stood up. This time there was no need for Zichen to ask for a list of names. Many enthusiastic core disciples pointed out where several members of the Renault family lived. After several battles, Zichen's mood was much better. He had also gained a lot. Only then did he leave the core city and return to the Tianwu world. After returning, Zhou Lina had already begun to take over the Ganhai sanctuary. She was very busy, and Zichen could not give any good advice. Therefore, on the same day, he returned to the core city and entered the Thunder Room to begin cultivating. Strength was the foundation of everything. This was a principle that he understood. As for Zhou Lina, there should not be any major problems with the Jelaf family's help. Next, Zichen began to refine the resources he had won and went into seclusion to cultivate. Zhou Lina, who was discussing with many families, found that the process was not smooth. These families actually had plans to migrate. Zhou Lina was very clear about the price of migration. Why did everyone insist on leaving? Her gaze swept across the group of elders. Zhou Lina said, "Everyone is so decisive in migrating. It can't really be because of those rumors, right?" The various forces did not dare to neglect this gathering. Those who came were all people with real power in their families. At this moment, after hearing Zhou Lina's words, they all fell silent. Yaheng stood at the side like Zhou Lina's follower. He did not say a word during this time. Zhou Lina continued, "The Ganhai Holy Spirit was a 5-star expert. To the Holy Thunder clan, he was a true mainstay. To be honest, I also feel very sorry for his death." All the family leaders looked at Zhou Lina. Clearly, they did not understand what she meant by mentioning the Ganhai Holy Spirit. Was it a threat? But everyone, think about it. No matter how powerful the Ganhai Holy Spirit was, he was still an alien Star Lord. Why would he dare to seal the Tianwu world's teleportation array for 10 years? You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.